And we're live. I clicked the wrong banner. Here we go. We're live, Dash 28 Live, ready to do yet another live stream between Tom Robinson and Brindley Smith.
Hello.
I have with me Brinton, Ballard, and Ashley, who are going to be doing the commentating for us today. And yeah, so it's a push scenario. It's round 4 of the Call to Arms tournament, and we are going to jump right in and look at Tom's list. So if you can run us through this, Tom.
So if you saw my game against Patrick Zorro Allen a couple of days back, you'll know that this is exactly the same list, and it's also the same list using the third round, I think it was. The reason for that is I did actually spend a bit of time juggling with going through something new, and then I realised that I was exactly on the points and I couldn't buy Bane Chance, so I threw the entire list out. I was going to try and get some halfling knights in just to say I've got halflings in the army, but it wasn't worth it without the Bane Chant. So yeah, going through my list, I'll start from the top. So the Horde of Foot Guard, you'll obviously recognise them from previously. Indomitable Will, there's a solid fighty, tar pity kind of unit. You can't go wrong with that. Horde of Knights with Brute Strength and Indomitable Will. Obviously, these are the beat stick when they decide they're actually going to work. If you saw Patrick's game, you will know that they didn't do good. Did not do their job. 2 Troops Mighty Scouts for chaff, and they do a bit of shooting while they're at it. They can also threaten flanks, which is why they're out there on the flank. The Horde of Honor Guard, because it wouldn't be Roddy without them. Indomitable Will and Caterpillar. And if you look at the deployment, they're right next to the battle shrine, so it pushes them up to a nice 18-20, which is lovely on a larger cavalry unit. 3 volley guns, because it's 3 volley guns. They're cheap, and they're a lovely little threat projection. I got a Duke on Ancient Winged Arrowheads. That's on the far right behind the Trooper Scouts there. That's my tool for keeping dragons honest, and for the only thing that I've really got in my army which can push and threaten flanks effectively. It's also inspiring, and I've only got 2 lots of that really. 3 Wizards. Same outfit as last time. So obviously you've got the Mounted Wizard with Bane Chant, Lightning 3, and Inspiring. 2 more Wizards on pegs, so these guys can pick up objectives. They can do, whatever odd job you need doing, really. One's got the boomstick, and one's plain. So I've got a cheaper one, and then slightly less cheap, but they're both disposable if needs be. I've got a Horde of Dogs War, because, again, if you're taking Rodia, this is like their standout, amazing target unit with Indomitable Will. And then finally got a Battle Shrine. Sat right snuggle right in the middle of my army, throwing out some rallying, throwing out some lightning bolt, and now in 3rd edition, throwing out a bit of a punch as well when he needs to. That's it.
Excellent. All right, I will just get Brindley's list up here, and he can run us through that.
Sure. Okay, so all right, so this list is kind of similar. It's almost a cross between what I played last week and what I played at the US Masters. So basically the core of the list is somewhat the same. So I've got 2 regiments of Huscarls. One of them from last week, I dropped down the sharpness to elite instead because I no longer have mounted sons in the list. I wanted to try a list that doesn't have any Thunderous Charge because Mounted Sons have been kind of meh anyway. So I took the Fallen instead, gave them Staying Stone because I find they're always wavered, and this has always saved my games every time. 2 Frostfang Cav Hordes, so that's the same. One is the Mesa Crushing now because the Staying Stone is on the Fallen. So basically, like, those are my 4 big hammers, and the Fallen are the flanking hammer, or at least can go wherever I need them. And it gives me a good core of Pathfinder and Strider. The Snow Fox Chaff are the first of my 4/6 Chaff units. I've just got the one because you'll see for a sec here the theme I'm going for is to have really resilient Chaff for the most part. And then the Lord with Wings is basically something that I could use to try to sit down dragons or project threat. So... all right, so then we've got the Lord on Frostfang, which is one of my favorite units, so that is going in every list no matter what, as is Megnild, because she's my favorite unit in the entire game. And then this time, so last week I played with Night Stalker allies for the first time, and I really enjoyed it, so I wanted to keep doing that, but maybe mix it up a bit. So I've got 3 regiments of butchers, which are a chaff that ideally should be able to beat down any other chaff they come across, or at least like they're resilient enough that they can take a hit. And one of the big parts about that is they're fearless. So technically I've got the 4 chaff units and then the 2 flyers to try to, I don't know, pin stuff down. But it's only a total of 12 drops. So at least in the deployment phase, as we'll see, I was having a bit of trouble trying to match Tom because he's got a lot of great throwaway deployment units.
All right, so I'm going to move over to the UB screen, and then you guys can actually walk me through deployment. So we're going to start with Tom, starting from the top left.
Yep, so top left are Trooper Mighty Scouts for a nice little chaff support unit. I have my Hodder Knights in the wood. No matter where I was going to deploy here, I was going to be putting some stuff in terrain, so I might as well put the unit which can go through a piece of terrain and then blow through anything on the other side anyway in the terrain. Then I've got my Horde of Honor Guard next to them with the Battle Shrine next to them. So the Honor Guard, obviously with Pathfinder, they're the least hindered and they're most able to push up and project a bit of threat into that central wood. So effectively, even though the Fallen and the Frostfangs don't actually outnumber me, I can, outrange me. They do outrange me. I can, in a way, stop myself from being outranged by just sitting next to it and using that bit of that Pathfinder to keep him honest, because I can blow through him and he's not quite going to blow through me with either of them units. Battle Shrine, yep, right smack in the middle, does its job. Loves the nerve, lovely. Foot Guard Horde next to them, so that's nice and central. It gives it lots of options if I need to go support the volley guns or I need to support on the left side, because my combat's a bit weak compared to the amount of chaff he's got there. 2 wizards behind it, because they are fast and they can do what they like. Why not? 3 volley guns with my inspiring wizard behind them, so the wizard can bugger off if he needs be. And the volley guns, yeah, putting them behind the hill, it's a bit of a risk. I'd like first turn. I don't need first turn. I have stuff that the rest of my army can do in the meantime, and I have a backup plan for that, so it's not much of an issue. But I'd like first turn.
Brindley, you hearing that?
Yeah, well, I'm hearing that.
Yeah, take first turn, see what happens. Yep, and then the Dogs of War with both push tokens in that bit of flat terrain right there, other side of the volley guns, they are in prime position to move up, hold that entire right flank on their own, and then waltz across at the end. Scouts on the right, and the Duke just behind him. Yep. Simple.
Excellent. Okay, so Brindley, if you can do the same, left or right.
Okay, so basically my chaff are just, I put the brutes or the butchers, sorry, in areas where I knew they could kind of just run up unimpeded. So I can just close on him as quickly as I could. So I stuck those guys down in an area that's relatively far away from terrain. I can still see around most of the hill with line of sight if he does get first turn. Otherwise, once I get up on that hill, I could try to get, I don't know, Thunderous potentially or what have you. The Huskarls got the objectives because that's the one unit that's probably not going to be shot at by 18 lightning and 3 organ guns. So I figured, they're most likely to survive. We'll see. Chieftain's there because he can get wherever I need him to be, and he also sees over that hill in case he tries to do some sneaky stuff. The Fallen and Snow Foxes were to take advantage of the trees because I've got Pathfinder on both, and there isn't really anywhere else I could use that. The Frostfangs have the haste, so they can actually just get into those trees on the first turn if I need to. I know I'll get shot at that point, but at least I'll get cover from everything. Then we go over further. These were actually the first 2 drops, or 2 of the first drops I did, where I just put the Butchers and Huskarls down, an area where they're just going to run up and face a whole bunch of lead. The Lord there is just to project threat and make it so, like, if he tries to move too far onto the hill and actually get 50% on, I can try to hit him, maybe kill an organ gun. I don't know. Otherwise, I can just redeploy if I have to. I might just haul over to the left or the right. We'll see. Then on the right, similarly, the Butchers just went down in a spot where they can march, and the Direfangs can go either way. As soon as he put the Dogs of War down, I knew I'm probably never getting through that. So I guess this flank is probably a bit of a wash, but we'll see. And Magnild is just, I don't know, I can try to keep his flyer away from me. So in terms of like, I'd absolutely love to go first. I would love to go first in any of my other games so far, but I've had to go second every time. So I'm hoping this time maybe it'll turn around and we'll see.
And for reference, I rolled my dice for first turn and rolled a 4, and then we decided
Yeah.
let's not roll it yet. So I'm on a
Yeah.
4. He's got a 1 in 3 chance to get in first turn.
Easy, no problem.
No problem. All right. Well, we will enjoy watching your game. Good luck, both of you guys. And I guess we will get you guys to sign off and go play your game.
Okay. All right.
You.
See you later. Oh, God.
See ya.
All right. Thoughts so far?
I like both these lists. They're definitely not lists that you see very commonly in the tournament scene at all. So I do like the Butcher Chaff. It's one of my favorite chaff pieces right now. So seeing them allied in for that purpose in Baringer is pretty dirty, pretty disgusting.
I love
They're
it.
awesome
I love
because
it.
they're allies. They don't need to bring the inspiring character with them to be able to be inspired, right? They just got to get up into people's lines and.
Well, I also always love any chaff that's fearless, right? 'Cause not wavering in front of your stuff is just huge.
Yeah.
Well, they're just super defensive chaff, fearless, defense 5, stealthy. Like you have to commit a lot to killing the butchers.
Yeah, and at 9 attacks with Crush too, they're nothing to sneeze at too when you get charged by them. So
Right. And you can't give them a flank.
Oh, God.
So Brindley made his room public, so we're gonna have a good assortment of comments both in our comment section, but also in the game itself. So we'll see how that goes.
So it looks like Brindley lost first turn.
Yep.
Yes, he did.
Yep. But apparently is first in some people's hearts. Don't know those people though.
Yeah. So obviously the sort of thing is Tom's taken first turn. Both of them badly wanted first turn. In push, grabbing that board space feels so important compared to sort of going second or last, especially with the variable turn. Tom is already, if you look sort of center top, he's doing that really good, scary thing, which is if there's a hill just out of your deployment zone, especially with 24-inch shooting and you are going first, nothing's going to be in your range anyways. You can just push forward and take that hill, get your leader point and 50% of you on it. And you're basically as if you had a hill in your deployment zone, which is a really strong position for those organ guns to be in.
It's going to be a scary position for them to be in, to be honest.
Yeah.
They will certainly do work this game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at least like having the butchers be stealthy for his chaff is great if they're going to shoot the chaff, and also giving some cover. We'll see how things go.
Yeah.
So the thing is, yeah, the stealthy will help some. There's a bunch of
bit,
lightning
yeah.
bolt kicking around as well. The goal is to get rid of those butchers. The main thing those organ guns do is we talk about sort of board space control or whatever, but it's about saying anyone sitting in that sort of middle section of the board that tries to take a little longer or take an extra turn for setup or kind of position to get the right charge is doing so under a clock. They just have damage that is being put on them just for sitting there and maneuvering. And that's hard when you're facing the two units flanking it are, Dogs of War and a horde of foot guard, and you have some flying pegs around to gum up the works. It's really annoying for people to deal with. So we'll see how he either avoids that section or works through it. But
Yeah, he did deploy heavier to the left. Whether that was intentional for the the volley guns, I don't know what deployment looked like, but Yeah, I definitely am concerned for him. I don't think he's winning the right flank.
I think
Volleyballers did go down early in deployment. I was watching them deploy.
Oh, did they?
And and I think Tom does that a lot, actually, to just take control of zones, actually, to make it, it scares people away from deploying in those areas, knowing that they're going to get shot up, right?
So what he did is he shrunk the battlefield for some of this deployment into the far right, which he then closed off with the what's it called, Dogs of War, and the far left, which he then placed Honor Guard can pivot that way, and a Horde of Knights with Pathfinder. So both of those lanes are sort of scary prospects.
And I think those Knights actually have Brew of Strength, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
it doesn't matter because of the amount of attacks that they have and the amount of damage they're going to put out. But
yeah, they don't care as much.
And I think that's why he said he put them there. He knows they could be hindered. I mean, with that large of a footprint, those Knights, if you don't have Pathfinder, they're often hindered in some way.
Yeah, I love Brew of Strength on a Horde of Knights.
I do too.
Because as a lot of people have sort of figured out, this isn't a brand new original thought. But it's that idea that if you just treat them like a big scary infantry unit with more attacks and longer range if they need it, the Brew of Strength just makes so much sense. People can hit them, bounce off them, and then they're not neutered, especially with a Bane Chant coming back. And if you do happen to get that unhindered charge once every 3 games, they will pink mist any unit. So
32 attacks, and then also crush 1, thunder 2.
We're into shooting already.
Yeah.
Yep. This is
So
quick.
this is that poor Lord is gonna just eat some lightning.
Yep.
Oh,
So that's Lightning Bolt doesn't care. UB Dice do, though.
I have to speak to my fans again, apparently. So you did mention the blue sweater. It is a Vancouver Canucks sweater. So.
Yes, because it's beautiful. It brings me great joy.
So kind of going back to that Night Horde, I think one of the things that stood out when I was looking over the Barringer list here is that his highest nerve is a 15-17 across his entire army.
Yeah.
And those Knights with Bane Chant, or not Bane Chant, but Brew of Strength, and especially if they get Bane Chant, it really doesn't matter what they touch, they're going to melt it.
Yeah.
Those are some amazing nerve rolls to start. Good time to get rid of those.
Yeah, I feel good when I roll those bad ones early when I'm it's like I want double 6 or double 1 on these early shots, nothing in between.
Yeah, like my my dice, I'm like, okay, get that double 1s out.
Yep.
And let's never speak of it again. But then they always come back to haunt you at like turn 6.
Right.
So a small bit of fan service from the chat is they want to know Adam's T-shirt.
Oh yeah. All right. So this is a Mountain Region T-shirt from last year's Masters. So
is that the San Antonio Masters?
San Antonio. Yeah. Yep. That's when Ashley and I first met each other.
Yeah, and you blackjacked me turn 1. It was great. Great. I don't have PTSD. It's fine.
It took more than 1 turn, but it's fine. Actually, right now I have Dan on the call here, who was my first round opponent this last year. So
that is true. Yeah, I didn't get blackjacked.
I mean,
I felt pretty close right up until about turn 3, and then it kind of fell off.
No, I was
a little bit of a standoff.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are at bottom of turn 1. Brindley is pushing up aggressively with the butchers because why not? That's their job. They're that sort of. I felt it a lot in 2nd edition. We saw some of this, but it's even more in 3rd, where we're seeing these sort of expensive. I do air quotes chaff, but like really just cheap units that they have better nerve, they have better defense, they're sort of higher than the traditional 100 points or lower chaff. and they just beat up other units and other chaff on the board, and that's what these butchers' job is. So those are pushing aggressively on the left.
Yeah. The problem is that really the only thing they can beat up chaff-wise is going to be those mounted suns.
Yeah.
And those suns are just so fast and nimble. He's not. I mean, realistically, shouldn't let him get into them unless he wants it.
Yeah, mounted scouts. Just
Mounted scouts. Sorry.
It'd be Rordia with Varangur allies against Varangur with Night Stalker allies would be fun, but
mounted sun chaff, it's no big deal, but let's make it happen.
It's Dan King. Dan King plays mounted sun chaff.
So funny.
Yeah, so both
Brindley
both
said
of
he
these
didn't take his mounted suns this time.
No, he didn't.
Which, yeah, that was right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is weird. I was like, if anyone saw my look of shock and bewilderment. Well,
I like those, especially with some stealthy.
Well, I guess I get what he means though about not taking as much thunderous and trying to focus more on crushing strength. But...
Yeah. But the suns are usually a good target for a Pathfinder item or a Strider item, so.
Sure.
Yeah, totes my dudes.
What's interesting is both of these lists took very little traditional chaff and are playing them in somewhat non-traditional ways. You know, Tom's using them purely down the flanks, a little bit of light shooting, and then they can zip towards the middle if needed for charge blocks or to cut stuff off. Brindley has a few more. The butchers are acting as, and then what are those, tundra wolves or
snow foxes?
Snow foxes. Okay. I still confuse the Varangur Northern Alliance mishmash. So those snow foxes are one of those very traditional pieces that's job is basically to get in the way and die. And they are rapidly sort of redeploying away from the guns and the lightning bolts, trying to gum up this night horde.
I like that because it's not a big enough gap to go and get that Lord on the Frostfang, and that Frostfang is now allowed to move aggressively enough to actually hit the knights next turn if necessary.
Yep, and that's Tom's using a sort of army style I'm somewhat familiar with. He's just better with it, which is you got a lot of big blocks. So you're you know, the opposite of like Pat's army that he played Tom with. He's pushing around big pieces of geometry here, and they don't fit in little spaces when you can create those angles. And Brindley's trying to prey on that with a mini grounded dragon. So
it's a walking dragon. It lost its wings. It's very sad. Very sad.
I don't know. They don't seem sad to me.
No, they seem
very angry.
And
okay, maybe they're angry they have no wings. There you go. You can have that one.
It is also the subject of one of my favorite pieces of 3rd edition Kings of War art. That sort of Varangur introduction picture. I think it's in Uncharted Empires. Yeah, Uncharted Empires at the beginning of the army list section. There's just a picture of the Varangur army marching to war, and that guy looks absolutely badass in it. So
exactly.
And kind of relaying what I'm seeing in the chat here, Tom mentioned that Brindley is really good at using his chaff effectively, especially early in the game, and that's kind of what we were talking about. But you know. Tom has his gun line on the right-hand side of the board, and if any of these chaff pieces like the snow foxes were in range or utilized over there, it'd just be very easy targets and just delay his army line maybe a turn. But since he's run them over to the left here where he doesn't have those tools, he's going to get value out of them to be able to move up aggressively with some of these hammer units that he has.
Yeah. And that's a common sort of new player mistake that can happen, which is they think chaff's entire job when it's facing shooting is to die to that shooting to protect the other units, but that's not actually true. what ends up happening with that usually, unless you have a ton of it or your goblins or something, is that they strip away all that chaff and then they use their own pieces to block up your units charging and keep shooting you, and it's horrible. So he's sort of wisely kind of just student body left from an old football style, like everyone. It's starting to look like we'll see what the Frostfangs do and stuff, but a lot of its resources are sort of shifting left, using that forest as a bulwark against the stuff to the right and going for it. But
yeah, go ahead.
He's moving on the right, and we'll see what goes on with that, because that's a tricky one.
Yeah, it is.
So Tom was able to place those guys on the hill and not be within 20 inches of that Lord with the wings. Just barely. So that's going to make things really interesting to see where that Lord ends up deciding to go, especially with that Duke in this position here to be highly threatening.
Yep.
Just go and hit the Duke with it.
Honestly, it wouldn't be a bad move just to fly him up 20 inches, sit him right in front of the volley gun. He's not going to block off the shots, but you're sitting on a hill and you have pretty decent line of sight from there.
And to just kind of
really
say like,
threat.
Yeah, you could just be like, well, I'm not getting you this turn, but next turn, like, I'm in here.
Right. Because then,
you either have to deal with me or accept the fact that I'm taking out a volley gun.
Right. And nothing can touch him if he sits right in between, like the middle volley gun there.
Can this foot guard unit if the volley guns move out of the way?
Well, and if that happens, that's even better for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you're going to take your time to move the volley guns out of the way so that you can come and charge that.
Yeah.
I think Brindley would be totally fine with that.
And then the volley guns are going to be completely out of position off the hill, most likely. So.
True facts. Yeah. And we have to remember, like, Magnild's around too, and we've seen Brindley do some crafty things with Magnild's.
Yeah, he brought all the tricky toys on this one. The butchers, the Lord on Frostfang, which is, like we said, the walking nimble dragon, the Lord with wings, Magnild. He's got a lot of those small sort of dastardly pieces that he used very effectively against Matt in his last streamed game to sort of ruin his day and send him to the drinks early. Or late. I mean, who knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Lockdown life. But yeah, what we know is Brindley has the ability to sort of look at a situation. He has a bunch of tricky pieces, and it's just how well he can utilize them to gum up Tom's sort of pretty straightforward big block battle plan that is looking very strong at the moment, but we'll see what he can do to mess it up.
Hey Dan, could you just click the general or whatever on the birdie boy so I can see his arc? Thank you.
Yeah, Magnil is just
out. Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yep.
I just wanted to see if it was just confirm that because I was thinking it through.
Now, are the dogs of war within range to charge Magnild?
I don't think so. They're only 10, right?
Yep, they're 10.
Okay. It was just really close.
It is very close. But I'm sure that that's what Brindley was looking at as well, too, is to make sure that
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, and he did just... did you count him as in? I thought actually we checked that he was a little bit of daylight there.
And he moved...
Does he have wild charge? Because he moved 20 points.
He does have wild charge.
Oh, so that's probably why.
Awesome.
And if he...
Wild charge 1.
So, yeah. So then it's 21. Okay.
Yeah,
because I was like, he did move straight 21.1.
Yeah.
Or he's just cheating, which I like.
that too.
Just straight in. Yeah, totally in range. Let's ignore the fact that UB is keeping a measurement of exactly how far I
you go. On live stream, it's fine. Just roll with it. It's cool. Yeah.
No one would cheat on live stream. Oh wait.
Wasn't there one we did and we were like,
I think it was mine.
Yeah,
it was mine. Yeah.
We weren't sure, and it wasn't sure. It was like because we probably didn't hear the like.
Well, and I rewatched it back, and it was like, yeah, that monolith definitely blocks off line of sight to anything the dragon wanted to see behind it. So, but
because we were all like, did do that.
Yeah.
That's a lot easier. That's a lot easier to mistake to make when when it's all flat stuff, right? You can't really see heights that particularly well on a screen
Yep.
like that.
And that's a friendly neighborhood reminder that when playing the tabletop version, heights do matter a little. So please don't proxy a Titan for something that is height 1. And it drives me insane when people show up with like this massive unit that is like height 2.
We had I was watching a game like for our summer campaign in my club, and they were watching, like, I watched Josh Rodotto play, and he like our buddy puts like a slasher or something behind his lines, and Josh just like completely missed it was there, and he's like, because on the tabletop I would have been reaching over that unit and knowing he's threatening my flank and rear, but because on UB I just kind of forgot that it was in the corner. But if it was on the table, I definitely would have been like reaching over it the whole time.
It's just the dead pile. It's I've had it several times where there's a unit that's somewhat close to the pile of the board you just load up all your stuff on, and I forget my own unit's even alive over there. It's like, oh, yeah, that would have helped.
Yeah, I've been charged from the dead pile, shot from the dead pile, or the old I'm gonna put a dice down and mark where this unit is, and then the unit doesn't come back for a while, and then suddenly it's charged. Like, oh, that dice just flank charged me.
Right.
So Tom's calling out Brenton's fight wagon at this point right now. Based upon your about having stuff that's not the right site.
Large cavalry height. Come on.
It was height 4 when you made it.
It was height 4 when I made it. Or height 3 when I made it.
It was about
Did it shrink with age? Is that what happened, Brenton?
No, the chariots got shorter.
Yeah, chariots are only height 3.
I know, I'm just laughing.
Hey, let's not talk about how tall a man's fight wagon is.
Oh god.
Okay, so what's going on in this game? We threw a berserker into the front, or a lord into the front of those.
Mm-hmm.
Do we love that? Is that a great idea?
Yeah, absolutely love it. Because
he does get to touch it, right? As long as he got to touch it. Like, I don't know if I would have been as big of a fan of parking him there, just what Adam was saying. Although there's some merit to be with that. But anytime you can pick up one of those volley guns, I think you do it.
So
for sure.
So did Tom make a mistake and forget wild charge?
I think he did, because there was definitely enough room. There's definitely enough room for him to put it on the hill without it being within 21 inches.
Yeah. So that's one to log to ask later. When we meet them at the end and rub in all their mistakes from turn 1.
That's right.
I'll note it down. Did you forget wild charge?
Yeah. But as far as movement goes, I do really like how Brindley is moving up here. He's not really caring about the flank from this winged Azarl. Or Arales? Is that how you?
Yeah.
The winged dog thing?
Yeah, flying Labrador.
Yeah.
It's Air Bud.
Right. So I know a lot of people would try to keep that thing in their front arc with everything. But what he's saying here is, you know what, if you're going to charge the butchers, go ahead in the flank. It's still not even great odds that you're going to kill it if you charge it. And he has a lot of decent options with that unit being up as far as it is now. And then if that's flying, we'll say the winged monster, comes into the flank, he has the counter to it even. So I think he's playing it really well to apply the pressure he needs to on this gun line. And especially after taking out one of them, I think Tom's going to be feeling that pressure here.
So now sort of comes the question of what does Tom do about that? He's got, as an old volley gun player myself, one, I had dwarves, so they didn't break as easily when something charged it out of the blue. But he has the knockoff halfling imitation version that doesn't have high defense and has been blown up. So like, what does he do? He's got a flying character in the middle of his line. He can try and deal with it, or he could just ignore it. But I feel like also this is the second stream game in a row where turn 1 we've said he has a flying character in the middle of your back line. So this seems to be a pattern with him.
Yeah, it sounds like he needs to have a fighting individual in his list somewhere.
Yep.
I mean, with Brindley was able to throw Magnild into Matt's, right into the middle of Matt's ogres, and now he's thrown it over. It does have 4 damage on it, so other things can shoot it.
But then you're putting his lightning bolts being spent there and not everywhere else, and
and his lightning bolts units are all going to have to reposition to turn and face this guy who's in a great position behind a volley gun on the hill.
Mm-hmm.
That he's not going to move that volley gun. So what, these wizards are going to fly forward and try and get behind something? They're not going to be in a decent position to shoot at the individual, if they'll even be able to see him this turn.
Sure. So while you guys keep discussing, I'm going to look at how much lightning bolt we think actually is going to need it to kill this guy.
Yes, you do that analytical thing. I will say nonsense. Like
He's defense 5?
Yes.
Yeah, and he's a 13-15.
But he already has 4 on him.
Already has 4 on him, so
he's 9/11, really.
Yeah. So you need probably at least 4 or 5 lightning bolt to get through to reliably have a decent chance.
So actually, no, it's about that's about 15 lightning then at that point. 16.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is about what he has.
Yeah. Which
plus a little more. So.
Yeah, but how is he going to get all of that? Because the battle shrine, it could run forward and then turn its flank to the rest of his army to be able to get a shot off, but nobody's going to do that.
Yeah.
So that's 6 lightning bolt right there taken out.
So is it just the wizards?
Well,
just the lightning bolt 12 or something?
Can his wizards even get there?
12. Yeah, lightning 12. The flying one can.
Well, yeah, but right now they have to move forward to be able to see around that.
Yeah, we got a
machine on the hill.
We got a small wrinkle, which is he's flying.
Oh,
so
guys.
He's def 4.
Yeah, I was just gonna say they were reading that, and I just double checked.
Oh, right. Okay. So that actually cuts down quite a bit. You only need about 12 then at that point, right? So
fine, use one. Yeah.
So if all of his wizards can get into a position to shoot him, then maybe he kills him. Yeah. But he's going to be losing some wizards from what I'm seeing if he does that.
At least one, yeah.
Or flies them back, like puts them behind the hill in between the unit and the piece of terrain.
Yeah, but then he's not even going to see him because he's facing the wrong way.
They're nimble.
Right, but he has to pivot over 90 degrees to get back behind the volley gun there.
Yeah.
So he's going to be facing the back corner of his board.
Yeah. But yeah, we can say all the nice things, but it's also it looks like Tom has still got a good setup. I mean, dealing with that one lord, he's still got a lot of threat coming down.
Right. So at this point, looking at it that way, I don't know if Tom really invests what's needed to go kill that.
No, I think he writes them off. To be honest, it's and just takes the shots while they're still alive and kind of goes from there.
Yep, I think he has to.
Well, especially because they're so cheap, right? Like to go invest all that time and everything there, and then possibly lose a lot more points than they're worth. They're 80 points each.
Yeah, but I'm agreeing that this is a decision and a tough one, and we'll see, and leaving them, but like. There is going to be the Frostfangs are angled that way, the Huskarls are there, and eventually the second Frostfangs are coming that way-ish. If there is he either has to give up the volley guns entirely now, which could be his plan, or he has to say, I'm fighting over these because having on a hill 24 piercing 2 shots every round for the next 5 rounds basically has some amount of value to it.
Well, he can do a half measure. He could take the mounted wizard, and toss its lightning bolt in, and just try and hope for a cheeky favor, right? So
yeah,
yep,
that's true.
He doesn't have to write them off completely,
right? And I mean, it's also something where there's so many things threatening these volley guns right now that even if he was able to waver or kill that, if he's devoting a lot of resources in his shooting phase towards it, there's Magnild over here. There's these butchers that he has to deal with.
Yep.
Yeah. He has several other threats that are going to eliminate these volley guns.
Yeah,
So,
the thing is, at least when I would play volley guns, I want the units to charge them. Like, units charging them is great. It's the individuals that are annoying, because those are the harder ones to deal with. When the unit smacks in, it's just a piece trade, and it's a cheap piece. So we'll see.
yeah.
But that's definitely it's a fun spicy move that's made this a lot better game to watch by that Berserker being 1 inch further charged than we thought.
That is true.
Yeah. We're like, oh, Brindle has nothing to do. And then we're like, what?
I mean, that's how this game so often works, is you look at it and you're like, wow, the person who just moved is in a dominant position. And then you hand over and the person's like, but I do these 5 things. And you're like, wow, now they're in a really good position.
Right.
So,
Yeah. But that's the thing, right? It's just reacting. And if you can react cleverly, I would say.
so what?
Okay.
What's
He is going to try and take out.
At least 2.
Yeah.
Can we check the arc on the center butchers?
Yeah,
So
that's
it's just
he's in.
He is
He's
in.
That becomes a very interesting move in that particular position.
is he just trying to maybe it's like bait and get the butchers the heck out of the way? Like, but that seems like a really bad spot for them to be in.
Well, I don't know. He's going to toss 2 lightnings in there, and I guess hope that he breaks them, and the volley guns, right? So I think he's expecting that butcher unit to get vaporized.
Maybe. That's some high hopes.
Dash 15, defense 5.
Yeah, but 2 volley guns and what is that? Is that the 6 one or is that the 3 one? 3.
Yeah.
So 9 lightning bolt.
But the 2 volley guns together, what's that? 24 shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for
You're gonna hit 4 times with 6s, and then you're only gonna wound 3 of those.
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like 3 of them together against unstealthy targets does work. 2 of them against a stealthy target, meh.
Right. And then there's inspiring within 9 inches of those butchers. So you got to get them twice with that nerve roll.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think he's expecting those to be dead from just that shooting, or at least I hope not. My only thought is that is maybe the peg not actually in arc of those butchers.
He's in.
He's in.
Okay.
But I think what he's doing here is basically saying that he is committing. He has to kill that that lord with wings in order for whatever his game plan to work, essentially.
Yeah, I understand that, but like the butchers charge that peg, and then they're in a fantastic position in between 2 blocks, both of which couldn't see them, I think. And that just feels
Dirty.
I could very much be missing something, and I apologize if I am.
I don't know. I think
Charges the wizard on the hill too, the mounted wizard, right? So, and now you've got 2 pretty good pieces in the back line with nothing to respond to it.
Yeah, it just feels like there's a gap, and he's inviting units into it with a charge and reform. And
But part of me is
I
like,
don't know why.
is there
There's-
what is he thinking that like we're missing is what I feel like.
he's not done moving yet. So
That's true. But I also just woke up, so like I need you guys to do brain power, okay?
I'm just surprised that he values these organ guns as much as he does, or volley guns here.
He's living the dream. They're on a hill. They're looking at expensive units. You want that to work so badly. It might be the right play, or it might be he's chasing a dream. And
Right. Because if those butchers do get up there to threaten him, he's going to have to shoot the butchers when they get onto the hill because he won't see anything else. Well, depending on their reform, but at the same time, as far as the actual objective of this game, I think both of them are in a pretty decent spot because the Dogs of War with their 2 tokens, I just don't see them really having a huge threat at this point.
And just
in the next 2 or 3 turns.
Yeah, and the fun thing about them is they may not even be trying to get past that house, right? They can just get just in front of it to be on the other side of the board. And then my other question is, I'm assuming he just forgot to move those tokens with his dogs. He didn't drop them.
Yeah, I assume so because that
There's
seemed
nothing else over there to pick them up, so I don't suspect he.
It'd be a pretty strange flex if he was just like, I'm just leaving this shit. Let's go fight.
There we go. Now they move.
Yeah, there we go.
Wait, you carry your tokens and push?
I thought I just teleport them across. It's fine.
It would be a really bold move though, because if you're just like, I'm so confident I'm gonna take yours that I'm just leaving these here for no one. I'm gonna take yours and still win.
Well, there's the mind game part of it, I guess.
All right. Well, there was 3 wounds on that guy already.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
pretty decent. I'm kind of curious why he didn't move the mounted mage.
It's an individual that can pivot at any point anyway.
Right. But still, it seems kind of an odd position for that mage to be in.
Yeah.
Because
It's got the inspiring talisman. I think it's trying to keep people in inspiring.
right.
Yeah, he could have
But-
backed up off the hill and still done that, and then not
Mhm.
be charge bait from Magnil.
Exactly. Magno can just pop up there and pretty much just one-shot her. Has a decent chance of that. Well, those
So-
are some weak volley guns.
I love that I can hear them.
Oh, you can hear Brindley in the background there.
Yeah.
In the other room.
One time they were like, Brindley's taking a long time, and I was like, nah, he's peeing. like they were like, he's thinking. I'm like, no.
He could be doing both.
He's a boy.
Wow. I thought the Frostfangs had cover from that shot.
From which one?
They did. I think they did.
Yeah, I think it's
battle
rolling. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he rolled 4 wounds. Hitting on numbers. I know they were looking at it, checking it, but
No. From the
Cover
looks
right
of it, for me, it looks like he sees more than half, even from the front of that bag. I don't want to grab a marker and show off what we were thinking, but
yeah.
No, but they're talking about what's cover, what's not, right? So
is this the nerves now? Yes, it is. Oh boy, there.
Doer.
That's that's enough. Just enough.
Yep.
On the roll.
Just roll good nerve, guys.
Yeah.
This game isn't that hard when you roll nerve above 8 every time.
You just need an 8 twice, no big deal.
Nothing there.
Nope.
It's interesting here. He just ignored the butchers for shooting, which I like. He's
No,
just
I
like,
like that too, because they are stealthy. But the problem comes in is that I would like it more if he wasn't offering a rear charge by.
we'll see what happens. We'll see how that one plays
we'll
out.
see if he
And
takes it too.
It
but,
is interesting because it is actually drawing away the chaff that Brindley wants to use to be able to position his Huskarls to
Mhm.
charge too, right? So
Yep.
it's not an insignificant trade at that point.
I think now that the Frostfangs aren't wavered, though, that becomes less of an impact.
Yeah.
If the Frostfangs were wavered, that would be huge to take the chaff out of the game. But right now, these Frostfangs, they can charge that Horde of Foot Guard.
Yeah. and that allows those Huskarls to just go up unimpeded. Although they do have to worry a little bit about this Duke on an Arala sitting here.
Right.
And like basically a foot guard horde's job is to be charged. Like that's what they do.
Yeah, but that
I
is
love
a
foot
scary
guards so
thing to be
much.
charged by.
Yep.
Also, that's the hasted one, so they're a 16-inch charge, just out of the flank of the dogs.
Sorry, where?
So in the middle, the 5 wounded Frostfangs, they're hasted.
Yep.
Yeah,
So I think they're just out of the dogs of war flank. But yeah, that would have been a really nasty surprise if it was in.
Yeah,
It is out, yeah.
it is. That they're not.
Yeah,
each.
I can see now. Sorry, it's
They're-
like I'm like, hold on
yeah.
while I get up really close to my computer screen.
Yeah. The interesting thing here though is, that's a good defense nerve. Like I said, foot guard's job is basically to get charged and then hit back with 25 attacks on 3s and a Bane Chant. They basically only work when you have Bane Chant in the list and is ready for them. So
The problem is that his Bane Chant is susceptible to be charged by Magnild this turn. So,
and that's something I would definitely look at from Brindley's side is with 5 damage on those Frostfangs, they're susceptible to getting punched back. But if you can shut down the things that are force multipliers on the foot guard and keep the other units out of your flank, which I think is what he's thinking about with the butchers, it can be really strong.
yeah.
It looks like they're having a discussion right now about the new FAQ charging and what the implications of that was.
Yeah.
It looked like he was having the dire fangs there to see if he could position
Ooh.
both that one unit.
I like that.
I like that a lot.
That is ugly.
That is a much better. We're like, look at these butchers in the rear. I'm like, I like this.
Yeah.
Well, it puts them in the same position as before.
And he's making you can see this volley gun. It looks
Yeah.
like
I don't really like that. If he's going to pop the wings, I'd rather him go after that inspiring source
I think
and the Bane Chant.
is he scared about the is he scared about the volley guns being able to just do enough damage to those already wounded Frostfangs to waver them and just stick them in the middle with Dogs of War ready to pounce or something else?
He definitely could be.
Because that's my only sort of thought around shutting those volley guns down is with that unit already having 5 damage on it, them hitting on 5s, 24s on 5s is piercing
like
2 is
12 on 5s if he takes one out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's a gamble.
Can we check Arala's site? So he wouldn't be able to see the Frostfangs. Is that correct?
Yeah, but as they reform, spin, do something more useful, that's a tough arc to get out of.
Yeah.
But I think that he absolutely has to face towards the Dogs of War. And I think he puts the butchers into the Dogs of War this turn to force them to stay where they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then he doesn't have to turn much. Just he can stay out of Arales's arc and then still threaten that flank.
Yeah.
Which
I mean, almost the way he's faced now, exactly would be fine.
Yeah, like it because if the butchers are in front, he's not going anywhere.
And looking at the objectives of this game, I think that going after the volley gun is going to be the right call then for that situation.
Yeah.
Because volley guns generally 12 attacks on 5s. You're looking at 4 hits each. There's 2 of them. That's 8 hits. 8 hits on 3s to damage. What, 6-ish? 6 damage to an RD5 puts them at 11. That's break and waiver zone for sure.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
There's still a possibility that the lightning bolts come in if you can't shut enough of those down to do the same job.
Yeah.
But I really think stopping those Oregon guns from just opening up Rambo style on his Frostfangs is important.
Can we look at the middlemost unit of what are they called? The infantry unit.
Huskarls.
The Scarls. I think they're in range, or are they in line of sight of this Pegasus that's in the middle?
They are within charge range. It looks like of this Pegasus. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that with the idea of blocking up the honor guard, how he's doing it. I like that idea.
Mhm.
And then turning to where you have the winged beast here still.
It's Hey Dan, are we on the bottom of 2?
Yeah, bottom 2.
Yes, we are.
Okay,
Thank
sorry. I was just checking. I was like looked up for a second. I was like, wait a minute. It's all good. Thank you. Sorry.
And then yeah. So I like that for kind of what you were saying, Britton, taking out some of those lightning bolts.
Yeah, and it gets the Huskarls up and dangerous.
Yeah.
Although there might
eat a flank somewhere.
There might be something useful about. No, his tokens are on the left. I was going to say just give up the left, just run, and just trap everything on the right and hold the middle. But what it does do is it deploys them sort of rapidly with what you're assuming is is he in the front of that peg?
I'm sorry, of what?
The Huskarls charging the Pegasus wizard. That would be a front, right?
It would be.
And are they hindered when they hit?
Looks like they would be just over here.
Are they going to kill it?
I don't expect that's going to be an issue.
I don't think that's a problem.
Huskarls hit like a rock.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just.
They're
they're asking whether or not this charge over here with the Frostfangs and the Butchers was legal. It looks like it is because of the fact that they're forced over because of the impassable terrain piece there.
Yeah.
And it looked like Brindley could get in. So.
Yep. It definitely looked legal, as long as I think he needed to move Magnild before the Butchers went, was the only thing. Which I'm sure she's just going to be flying over anyway.
Brindley trying to act like he's not cheating on stream. That charge was legal, right? Right?
Yeah, it's just that I think the point of the FAQ was so that you can't be like, oh, so here's my open area charge. I'm gonna shift all the way over to the end to let this unit in and then shift back. I think was that too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like you're being forced to do it because of terrain is different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not like moving super far so a nimble thing can get there. Yeah, shuffle.
I'm not gonna talk about the FAQ. I'm just gonna keep.
I've been working since the FAQ came out, so
I don't think she did have to move first, did she? She's not mighty.
Is she not? Oh, if she's not, then you're correct.
I don't think she is. She just normally does a wound.
She is.
She is mighty.
Okay, then yeah, she would have to move first.
She's just a thick bitch.
She is great.
Brindley plays her very well. It's very impressive. I feel like I'm in too nice a mood. I want to talk more crap about him, but I can't.
I think it's funny how her one-time fly ability typically scares people more often than just a unit, an individual with fly.
Yeah. Do you think it's because she's just so resilient too?
I think the fearless definitely has something to do with it.
It's for me, it's the fact that I know she's only paying for fly the turn she wants it. Mm-hmm. It's like she's super points efficient and usually only needs to do the fly the one time. Like, sure, it could come in handy other times, but there's that one turn where the fly does it. And I know they didn't pay any extra. They're not digging around, so.
You can let them know, even in the chat. It's like, Jeremy, everyone's shuffle to fit, not shuffle to make an illegal charge is said very nice. What Jeremy said in the chat. Because it looks like...
I'm not trying to mess with that new FAQ right now. I'm just going to keep playing it until someone clarifies.
It's really bad if you have to clarify your FAQ.
So you're playing Morgoth speed 10? Is that what I heard?
Just the charge part.
I know. I'm just giving you shit.
I play Morgoth speed 12. I'm just cheating over here. Just-
You're just like a little loosey goosey with your.
Yeah.
That's good.
Like I just move them across the board wherever I want them, and when someone asks, I'm like, it's Morgoth, and they're like, yeah, you're right. Doesn't matter.
So. Oh, so they're saying it's not legal? Brindley went back on it?
So I think the problem is with a single pivot, do they have an angle that allows them when the butchers are in their final position to make it in? Right.
Yeah.
And
I think they do, because there's some cheeky things you can do with moving like pivoting to where your corner hits before you hit your own unit, or before you hit the building in this case.
I think for me it was like any pivot means you're hitting your own unit first because of how tight that is. Possibly, but they're short.
Right.
These butchers are a regiment, so it should be easier.
They do have a bit of space because of that, yes.
I don't know. Just someone let me know when they've figured out if the charge is happening or not. And my question is, like, is it a good charge even if they both fit? I know you need to pin them in place, but
Right. I would have preferred to see the butchers just go in. But I guess your Direfang aren't doing anything this turn if you don't put them in there either. So I say Direfang, I mean Frostfang. They're the same thing, right?
sure. Dire frosts,
Yeah, the fangs.
the frost dyers.
Yeah.
Either way, they're freaking rad. I just think charging. What's great is we get to see something charge the Toxophore that doesn't want to, and my human playing heart always loves when something like that's the one thing on the board these don't want to charge, and
Yeah.
they've had to. So we'll see.
But I think my question is, of everything that Brindley has, the Direfang, in my opinion, are the best choice to charge that if you have to take a front charge.
Huskarls?
Yeah. Maybe.
I mean, it's just like
Yeah, maybe.
It's like,
they're
Yeah.
They are large to have, which means they're -1 to hit, but they don't have any Thunderous to strip off, though, either, right? So,
Right.
and here comes the Huskarls, as you were saying, into the Wizard.
yep.
Yeah, I like that.
And they are hindered like we expected, but I don't think that really matters. It's a
it's
pretty low
20
nerve.
attacks on 3s, so 20 attacks on 4s. No
With
thunders
elite.
to lose. And elite.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, this is just all kinds of ugly for Tom.
Yeah, so I don't really care for what he did on the right here, where he moved the butchers out of the way so that the Frostfang can get in.
I think they were still arguing about it. If it was, were they arguing because they weren't sure if it was.
I
still
think they
legal?
decided that both couldn't make it in, but in that particular case, I would probably throw the butchers in by themselves.
Yeah,
Just
because you
get
just
them-
want the placeholder.
Yeah,
And now
I-
butchers
I-
aren't going to really be doing anything or threatening anything with the position they're in. Whereas if the Frostfang were in that position, they would be.
So
yeah,
that
you could move your Frostfangs up, use the butchers in, and then probably kill the butchers, but you still got that charge next turn.
Right.
And,
That-
and the dogs of war aren't going to be doing much else to you in the
Well,
meantime.
yeah, the question is, could the dogs murder the butchers and then reform? They're less likely, I think, to kill the Frostfangs, or maybe not less likely. They have almost the same nerve.
Only by 2 nerve. But
Yeah,
But I'd
so
also be like, because of where the other Frostfangs are, where would he even be able to pivot killing the butchers to get out of having one of them flank him?
are those Frostfang
Depends
hitting on?
You know what I mean? Just be hard with the angles too.
They're still
Yeah.
hitting on 4s, right?
4s, yeah.
So 5s because of ensnare.
No, they hit on 3s, I think.
No, they're
Just-
4s normally,
Frost.
unless
really?
they have sharpness.
Frostfang.
Yeah.
No. I only ever see them with sharpness, so I think they hit on 3s.
That's
They,
true.
they do hit on 4s.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're hitting on 5s against those dogs, 6s
Sixes.
or because of the cavalry against phalanx, and so it's 6s and 3s. It's bad. Like
Yeah, I would have taken the butchers in then. Might
Yeah.
as well. Now I just want to go out there and be like, Brindley, what are you doing?
Because
And
that's the fun bit is like, again, I would
So-
love to see these two armies on the tabletop.
And phalanx, right?
yep.
Yeah, so we're
Yep.
saying sixes. yeah.
Sixes. This army on the tabletop would be a really cool moment to see, where you have these like rows of pikemen lined up, valiantly trying to defend their lines against like barbarian dudes on giant bear wolf things.
You're describing a lovely movie.
It's like what did we sign up for?
Oh, that
This
was
is hor-
a moment. I'm gonna go get a beer.
like, this is horrible. Send in the halflings. Why are we doing this job?
Look at, we're making Dan stress drink. What? Just kidding. We're in lockdown.
Dan never stress drinks. He only drinks.
He only drinks. I didn't put whiskey in my coffee, and now I'm sad.
Missed opportunity.
Very missed opportunity.
Sounds like an opportunity that could be capitalized on right now.
Well, there's no coffee left, so it would just be whiskey, which I mean,
That's
I
okay
mean-
too.
Whiskey in a coffee mug. It's coffee.
it's coffee.
It's the receptacle you're drinking out of determines the drink.
Oh, that's perfect.
If it's
Okay. My beer
it's-
is Kiwami. It's a plum sour from Fuggles and Warlock.
Oh, I can't wait to come back to BC, like move to BC and just drink fantastic things.
Yes.
Sorry,
Okay,
that's a
so
side note.
we've talked a lot about the right hand side. What's going on the left? What do we
Yeah,
got going
He
on
just
over
looks-
here?
Well, he's already still got his proxy out. It looks like that's where he's going to leave his snow foxes. But this other snow foxes here is going to have to get removed if he does so. He didn't have 2 units of snow foxes.
Yeah, I like that he just starts proxying and leaving. So like by the end, there's 4 units of snow foxes.
Well, I get what he was doing too. Like, it's kind of nice that he's practicing. There's no like having to undo 18,000 times.
So with these snow foxes, do we think that the honor guard are actually blocked off from getting into the Huskarls if he were to move his battle shrine out of the way?
It looks awfully tight.
It does look really tight. Yeah, because he can pivot through the snow foxes, but he does have to clear in such an angle that he can still make it there. I'm not convinced he can do so.
But
And
what
then-
if the foot guard disengage?
And back
I don't,
up.
yeah,
That's
I don't know.
create some space.
We'll see.
It's true.
It could be interesting.
Okay. How many wounds did he do? 4? 4 wounds. Okay.
He did 7 hits on 6s. Wow.
Yeah.
Hashtag UB dice? Question
Yeah.
mark?
I mean,
Yeah, it wasn't that far out of variance.
yeah, what,
Oh,
5?
wait, 'cause how many?
5's
You should
average.
have 5.
Oh, yeah, that's not so bad. I
Anytime
was
it's
like,
in
how,
plus or minus 2, I think that's okay.
I forgot that it was 30 dice. That's why I was like,
That's
So-
the thing you forget about
And that,
Frostwing.
that's the way you win games with 2 9+ nerves, right? So in a row.
Yeah, once you rolled 90 dice to hit
Dice.
with 2.
yeah, I'm like, I'm not worried about the turtle. Okay, then where will he position?
I think he has to go into the dogs for the way he set it up here.
I think I think it's better anyways, because then he's ignoring the phalanx and ensnare.
The Frostwing charge to the front of those Dogs of War is horrible if he's not capitalizing on it with something else to trap them.
Yeah.
So he has to.
So is Brindley being smarter than us here? Because the butchers are more likely to get broken by those Dogs of War in a counter charge than the Frostfangs are.
Oh, and
Only-
like overrun.
Doing so, he's actually
Only-
kind of this
only
unit.
by a couple points. Only
2 points.
Yeah,
So it's kind of what we were talking about is what is he sacrificing? And I think he's sacrificing a big threat opportunity with those Dire Fang not being where the butchers are.
So we'll see, but it's only trading a little because while those butchers don't look that tough, again they're dash 15, defense 5.
So it looks like he didn't. Oh, he did pivot a little bit. No, he didn't pivot at all there, did he?
He stayed out of the arc. I think he just was
Yeah.
like, screw it.
And the other useful thing about Magnild punching that volley gun in the face is that volley gun was actually positioned to block the Frostfang charge potentially.
Yeah, but the other one still is, though, isn't it?
So
What's that?
The other one still is, though, isn't it?
no, I think it's gonna be fine.
Actually,
'Cause-
I don't know anyway, because either way, because they're within an inch of the dog of war, anyways.
Yeah, I don't think he can block it off with the way the Direfang or the Frostfang are angled, because he
Yeah,
could
they just pivot.
actually a 90-degree pivot and still hit.
Also, so the butchers did 6 wounds to the foot guard
Jesus.
on 9 attacks.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
So one thing about whether or not this was the right choice to put the Frostfang in or the Butchers, can you see is Magnild in inspiring range of these Frostfang on the right?
They are not.
I think the Butchers would have been the better option then.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
also, but then why
Well-
wouldn't you have just moved Magnild closer after he killed the volley gun? He could have reformed or
He
sidestepped.
backed up.
He backed
He
up,
did.
but that's as far as he could move, backing
Oh,
up.
but I mean, he could have sidestepped too.
Yeah,
That
I
got him
think
closer.
he did that to see where he would have ended, and I think he decided it wasn't going to be in range.
He
So I'm
didn't
not
break
sure.
that wizard, interestingly
Oh.
enough. That opened up a nasty rear charge from this Duke.
Oh, jeez,
There
Wow.
it is.
that was a bad roll.
Yeah, only 6 wounds.
How much should he have done?
On top of that, too. Or
He
where-
should have hit 10, 11
And
times.
it's also
It was a
top of
3
3.
in there.
Yeah,
That's what it was. Yeah. So I think we're on the top of 3.
should be
I'm working
should
on
be
it.
about 10 wounds on average from the elite Huskarls.
Yeah. So then, even if you roll a 3 for nerve, that should have done it. No,
Yeah, wizards are a 10-12.
12, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, poor Huskarl bum.
But he did position his fallen to be able to counter that, which I think is
Makes for an open
definitely,
trade.
definitely paying off right now. But I was kind of worried about his left flank right now, because he's facing down a horde of knights and then these honor guard. And I don't think he has all the tools to be able to keep those tokens safe.
Those fallen have been kind of creeping around the backfield.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
kinda thought they were there, to be honest.
They're almost down there with the proxies. Like I said, with the dead pile.
The dead pile fallen. That sounds about right.
So now these on the far right, our right, Tom's left, after bravely backing up, the the mounted scouts are going to come around and well, maybe we'll see.
Butchers, they've got a. I don't see any. What is he gonna? Well,
I don't think they could have
oh.
seen the butchers.
They couldn't. I don't think they were in a position to see anything at this moment. So
Right.
No.
This is
They do have shooting attacks, right?
yes.
yes, but these guys are going to be game winners here. Keep an eye on them.
They're gonna go
This is-
pick up a token.
I would absolutely love if there was like a Dogs of War had dropped those tokens earlier, and the mounted scouts just went back there and grabbed them and kept them safe,
And then just like slowly walked all the way around.
Yeah. carrying all the loot. Pay no attention to us.
We're not here. We're sneaking.
So mounted scouts are deceptively good in I mean, they're not good. Let me qualify that. They're deceptively okay in combat. They
Cool.
are melee. They're melee 4.
Yeah.
Cool. So there's Silver Breeze.
I don't
They're
want
just
you
really-
talking about Silver Breeze, okay? That's enough out of you, Ballard.
Yeah, they're just think of them like Silver Breeze that are bad at their main job.
I
And
think
you'll have
their main
mounted
job
scouts.
is just be fast and annoying. So I think they're good at that.
yeah, but they're slower than Silver. Are Silver Breeze 10 or 9?
They're 10.
Yeah,
Right.
so see, they're slower.
Yeah, they're also 35 points cheaper.
Yeah, And they're humans on normal human steeds instead of weird fairy magic elf steeds that were raised in a waterfall.
I mean, that's how they shoot so good.
Okay, so if you're Tom, what are we doing here? How do we get out of this?
If I'm Tom, I am really, really, rubbing those UB dice for some good luck and hoping that I waver these Frostfang, at least, that have 5 wounds on them right now.
Okay.
But if you don't do that, you hope that a Bane-chanted Dogs of War can kill the other ones, since those Frostfang aren't inspired right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Tom's in a decent position. He needs one of those two things to really go in his favor for that right flank to essentially, I think, become insurmountable.
Silly.
Mounted scouts on the left into the flank of these Huskarls?
No, he just moved those mounted sons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he just moved them up.
Or not sons, scouts.
So
God,
another question: What's
They'd be so much better right now if they were mounted sons.
on the unit with 5?
Yeah, the unit with 5.
I think so, because he's not technically 50% on, right?
That's true.
Like he can see over the hill, but he's not on the hill.
Yeah, he's not gaining the height bonus is the only thing.
So if he's not getting the height bonus, then he should get cover.
Right, because it's height
How
5.
tall is the
Shooting over.
shrine?
Pardon?
How tall is the shrine?
Shrine's height 5. It's a monster.
But the flank is...
Yeah, the flank, though.
That's interesting because he doesn't get to count the hill for being...
His height. I always thought of it as like they're coming up the hill and you can kind of see over, but you're not at the top looking all the way down,
Right.
To not get cover from the hill, you have to be 50% on, is what they're saying in the chat too. I think.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yep, that sounds right. So.
I think it's cover. Yeah.
And we're sure he's not 50% on?
It doesn't look like
Well,
it.
that flank is 50% on, but he's definitely not 50% on.
Yeah. And he said between the butchers too, like there's quite a bit there going on.
But the butchers are only height... Yeah, and they're height 3.
Yeah.
He has to be able to see over 50% of that unit facing to not get cover. I don't think he's getting it.
You guys figure that out. I'm going to be over here trying to see how good these what's it called, Dogs of War need to roll to break those Frostfangs.
You're such a math nerd, and I love it.
I am not at all. This is arithmetic. I am terrible at math. I'm a writer.
It's going to be average of 7 to 8 wounds.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
What if
sketch.
that goes up to what, 10, 12?
Did you say with UB dice?
No, that's with Bane Chant.
Oh, okay. So 7 or 8's not going to be quite enough. That's going to be a probably an okay chance to waiver them.
Yep.
So, what, a 7? No, they're 15, 17, right?
They're
Yeah.
15.
Shooting.
But the big thing, I think, is that he just needs one good nerve roll to break
Yep.
it.
Yep.
Although, he can reposition, but it's kind of weird where he put the inspiring mage.
Yeah.
As far as the potential repositioning after the fact.
If he kills them, he basically wants to spin and be on the other side of that mage.
Okay, there's some hashtag UB dice right there.
Holy cow.
What did
What was that for? Oh, that was volley gun.
The volley gun onto these Frostfangs.
See, you just let the volley guns die. They're terrible.
That is trust me, that was a very audible wow from the living room. Like through my headset.
There we go.
Now he just needs that roll again to take them off.
Yeah, I was hoping that 5/6 was a nerve roll, not a damage roll.
It's an 8 to waiver. That's not so bad.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm a little.
but I don't know. Nope,
Oh,
that's the one.
Oh.
It's nope.
oh, tragic.
Hold on, let me check my pulse.
Well, now he's got a about right. Tom says.
Well, the sad part is that was the 1 or 2 wounds that the volley gun should have done.
Right, for the waiver. Yep.
Yeah, so
Well,
when you roll a 7 on nerve, you're okay.
he did
And
not.
7's like
Bane chant.
average dice.
That's interesting. He did not Bane chant the Dogs of War, so
Did he
got.
try and
He
did
lightning
he
them.
try?
Yeah,
He-
he had to
he
put the lightning in.
Well, he had to because the volley gun did 0 wounds, right?
Yep.
Right.
So he ended up trying the lightning to see if he could actually poke the waiver in there. I think the idea was he was going to Bane Chant there if the volley gun had did any wounds.
So he failed to kill the butchers in the middle.
Yeah.
He, I think, definitely killed these snow foxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Their job is.
I do find it interesting that he's holding this fat unit of knights that he spent tons of points on in still way back doing nothing.
Yeah, I mean they're doing what they need to right now, which is delay. They're delaying 3 units on the flank over here by themselves.
And
Yeah.
and delaying getting
one
those
with the
tokens where they want to, right?
Right. So really, looking at his game plan, and it's probably adjusted from when he deployed. But right now, he just needs to essentially keep those alive and not give up that flank so that he can win this other side over here.
Can we see? Do
Yeah,
the
it did
Huskarls?
take
Oh
place.
no, they're out of range. Never mind. Ignore me.
He just took that Huskarl unit out. That's big.
That's good, but I think the game is really taken a turn because of this Dogs of War and the double Dire Fang over here.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. What can happen is he can pick those bad boys up.
Yeah.
Take their tokens. He's already basically on their side of the board. And his Huskarls don't even need to go fight the knights. I mean, there's still honor guard that's going to have a say in this game. So we're not out yet for sure. But
And that was
That's,
a very weird reposition for the honor guard, don't you guys think?
Yeah.
Only because what can he see next turn? That said, though, I think the reasoning behind it, if I was trying to think from his side, is that the butchers aren't in range. I don't really have any threats from this left side, so I want to be able to see a little bit more to the right.
is the Lord in range?
It's a good question.
14, no,
threat.
he's only 15, right?
I think he's just out.
He might be 14. So if he's 15, he's just out still.
Okay.
16 he's in, but I don't think he is. So I think the idea was he wanted to be able to see more to the right, and that
He
was
is 15.
that was the best position he could do because of the way the battle shrine was. So I think that's about it.
That was good.
What are you laughing at?
Brindley saying, I was thinking about not charging Magnilton to the volley gun, but come on.
It was the one because it's entirely anecdotal and not actually math. But I find one of the great things about having multiple volley guns is you always mess up on one of them. One of them just rolls terribly, and then the next one rolls hot.
Well,
And he didn't have a next one to roll hot. He only had the one.
Well,
So-
that's why, like, when you take, like, whatever your stance is on the war machines, if I've ever just been like, oh, I'll just throw one in, it's always a terrible idea because it's always, like, misses 90% of the time. And I'm just like, why are you here?
Dude, my first game at Kings of War ever, having no idea what I'm doing, but thinking I'm hot shit. Had the one ballista in my Kingdoms of Men list. Oh, that's going to do some work all game. Fucking nothing.
Oh yeah.
No, I remember playing against Abyssal Dwarves when I was really new, and I had my Stormwind Cav with Pathfinder in the woods. He got first turn, moved up, shot me into the trees, and killed my Stormwind Cav. Top of turn 1. Like the luckiest dice I've ever seen.
And you're like, I didn't know we were playing 40K.
I was like, this doesn't seem correct.
Okay, so
he's done the easy stuff. He did the Frost Fangs in the flank.
yeah, shocker.
I'm so surprised.
So again, it was sort of mentioned earlier, but there's no heal or wound removal in Brindley's list. So the fact that he still has some shooting floating around and that really annoying war altar shrine thing is still going to be able to I call it by its old name. I apologize anyone who's offended by that. But we know what this army is in disguise. It's Empire in disguise. We can just call them that sometimes. So the battle shrine, with its height and its ability, can, like, that Frostfang on 7 damage is still close to kind of plinking down and going away in a later phase.
Oh.
But we'll see.
Did Brindley decide to take back that Magnil charge into the...
He's thinking about it still, I think, yeah.
Okay. I guess maybe he's wondering, too, if he's going to need that inspiring to come back.
Yeah, that's probably has a lot to do with it. If that's the case, he should position it completely differently, so it's at least inspiring both units there.
Yeah.
I think he's left it in the position that it was originally, waiting to make a decision.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just curious.
I actually don't mind the idea of charging the wizard since it has inspiring, and you need to kill those dogs of war this turn.
Well, and that has the added benefit of actually inspiring both those Frostfang units too.
Well, and
if he kills it, he can overrun into the dogs of war as well.
Yeah,
he's killing them, right? Like we're looking at. I mean, maybe not, but like
UB dice,
60 on the flank, 30 hits, and then wounding on 3s, 2s,
20 wounds.
3s.
I'm going to pull a Steve Hildrew and I'll go drink another beer, actually, if it turns out that that they actually stick around and live.
So to be fair,
gone.
pulling a Steve Hildrew involves promising to drink a small amount of alcohol and then backing out of it. So
okay. I will follow through.
you're not quite pulling that.
I mean, I'll go get wine either way. I'll go get wine. And then but I want to see what happens.
So this is what I was saying about the honor guard, and their reform was kind of questionable because now that left flank, they just have the ability to run right up into his threat range, and he's either going to have to run away or turn and take the charge.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I don't know. Tom, I think, is kind of behind the 8 ball here, right? And he's trying to do the best he can with what pieces he has left. I don't know if leaving the honor guard facing towards that left benefited him as very well either, right? He's losing very badly on the right here now.
Yeah, I mean, he's protecting his winged beast in the middle with 1 token doing it. And it looks like, it's going to prevent the Fallen from charging this turn, but it's not pushing it. Like, him taking a turn, that token's not going to go anywhere. He can sit there and just keep threatening that general until those honor guard are no longer going to be there to counter.
Yeah.
Did Brindley drop a token, or is he just forgot to move one ahead with the...
When he was undoing some moves, I think it undid that move.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna be like, interesting choice, but also
Yeah, just let the mounted scouts go take it.
that's why I'm like,
Yeah, it's
Here's a freebie.
again, it's a power play. I don't even need this token. We're just gonna drop some along the way.
we're just gonna drop this one. You take those little guys over there.
Mind games. He's bringing them the next level mind games.
That's right.
I'm normally too drunk for mind games in Kings of War.
Just psyching yourself out.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now, Brindley is tightening the noose. He's moved his lord up into an aggressive position. Those knights have been slapped in the face by butchers. Those knights should be able to blow them up on a counter, but he's buying the turn he needs to get the Huskarls in the position and close in on those honor guard.
Yeah, that's kind of what he did. But I don't think the Huskarls even moved into charge range with them. They're what, 10? Are they 10?
They're
Yeah.
11. I think they have wild charge too.
Okay,
But since they have the token, they're losing that wild charge.
right. That puts them down.
Are they?
I don't think you lose wild charge, do you?
I'm pretty sure you lose the. I'm pretty sure you do.
I thought. Let me look up, but I thought it was something around like your movement becomes 5.
Your movement
So-
becomes 5, but I think you still keep your wild charge. I think.
And there goes the Dogs of War.
As expected.
Hey Dan, you don't have to drink another beer. You're still going to drink another beer though.
Okay, yeah.
Oh no, they do lose wild charge as part of the new 3rd edition addendum.
Yep.
So yeah,
Okay,
it's just
fine,
listed. It's just listed literally there as like, hey, you lose wild charge, which I'm going to turn my lack of knowledge into a pitch for why Kings of War is a great game. Oftentimes, whenever you have a question, you just look in the rule book and it very clearly says, hey, dummy, this is what happens. Which makes a lot less sort of arguing and maneuvering. Like, two people sort of are like, hey, is that how this works? And then you look and it's like, yes, dummy, that's how it works. And you're like, cool, let's go back to playing. It makes it a very friendly tournament environment.
I feel like there's a lot of aspects, like there's always those like weird scenarios where you need someone to come and rule and we argue on, but they're very like super outliers. Like, here
Right.
I'm playing in this specific context and these 3 units with this piece of unblockable and this weird thing happened and we're like,
Yeah.
I mean,
But
kind of
as a-
like the hill and the shooting there.
Yeah.
That was just a really unique situation, but you just kind of hash through the rules and it's like, yeah, that makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
and
get there, and we all get there, so it's not a big deal.
And a lot of times you just like, we're all pretty nice guys. I don't know about all of us, but we're all pretty nice people. So
I'm
a
an
lot of
okay
times you're like, I
I
think this is how it works. And they're like, I think this is how it's not even an argument. It's two people who just want someone else to make a decision.
Yeah.
So
It's like I don't want to.
Okay.
I don't want to argue with you. So, can someone else tell it? But hopefully in my favor.
I'm not sure why, but I read the Brindley message of Magnilda of the Fallen Undo in like a full exclamation point sentence.
Undo.
Like that is her battle cry. Magnilda of the Fallen Undo.
Oh, there we go. He only did 1 wound this time with those
Butchers.
butchers.
Between
Much
two,
more reasonable.
they're about average.
All right, that's what he needed on the knights.
Yep.
To
Strip Thunderous, yeah.
strip it. I think he's still dead, but
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that unit's dead. But then
Oh,
the
for
Charles
sure.
coming behind, right?
well, depending on where his battle shrine is, he's potentially going to have some inspiring from Mind Thirst. So you never know.
Oh, he's gonna. Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, I guess we're on the top.
Top of 4. Okay, that means wine time.
And because
Wine time.
what we're looking at from that horde of knights is 32 attacks on 3s, which is a little bit filthy. what, like 20-ish hits coming out of that ish, and then on 4, so 10 damage.
Yep.
5
twice.
Twice.
It's not
5 twice. It's not a gimme, but you feel. I mean, looking across this board, I'd start to feel good about a 5 twice if I was Tom, because there's not a lot of other places where that's your odds.
Right. Honestly, I mean, I think with the lightning that he has left, he's probably going to pick up the 7 wounded Direfang this turn. But yeah, he needs to have it.
What did Magnil do? Just go inspire stuff?
No, 8 the last volley gun.
Yeah.
Ah, there it is. Okay.
And then sidestepped.
Yep.
Interesting.
So I mean, that's the character you want into those volley guns. Like she took 1 a turn. They're all cleared out now, and she's still in a dangerous position to affect other units. So it's also why I hate Magnil and used to hate Hersha.
Is that a rosé?
In true story, in one of my troll units that I never use now for orcs because they changed. Subtle changes made them not good in an orc army now. They were fighting over a graveyard, and one of the graves was labeled Hersha. Rest in peace.
That's pretty generous. I would never have said that to Hersha.
I feel like Magnilda is almost as bad.
So this poor
I think,
dude, down to speed 5 is limiting a lot of options.
Which
Because it would really like to park in the woods, but it speed 5, it can't quite get in there to get out of the Fallen's arc.
Can you? Is the push
Did it actually
token in
pick
the
that
middle?
up?
It did, yeah.
Oh.
So my guess, he could just drop at the beginning of his movement phase and just go fly away.
Do what it wants.
May not be a bad idea in this point because there's no way he's holding that if he stays put.
Yeah, there's just not a really good option. I think flying away and just leaving it unattended this turn is probably the best. But going into the front of those Fallen just doesn't seem good.
Yeah, it would likely leave him within charge range of those butchers.
Yeah.
I like him flying over the back of them and turning towards the Huskarls, but that's just me.
So one thing I'm looking at with the Huskarls, how far away are they to the Honor Guard right now? On the left there, yeah.
They are out.
So would a 1-inch disengage from the mounted scouts put him in charge range then?
It looks like just out.
Unless they drop their tokens?
Yeah, because if they drop the token to get the wild charge again, yes, they would probably be in at that point.
Surprise move. Drop the tokens in charge. Huskarls, do it.
Not a bad idea. When you
it's in your blood.
But can you see the Huskarls through the trees?
The Honor Guard, for sure he could.
Oh, the Honor Card. Sorry, I was like, what?
Yeah. So I don't think it's a bad idea, but it requires his Fallen to just immediately turn around and try and go pick up those tokens.
Yep.
Which he won't be able to get to, but he can at least threaten to kill whatever picks him up, or those mounted scouts anyway.
The main thing is you're trying to keep some other vulture, aka the mounted scouts or one of the flying characters from landing on it and sneaking it. But yeah, there have been a few times, not to bad results because it wasn't too bad, but where I'm like counting on someone's movement being reduced by the tokens, and then they just drop them in charge anyways. And those are always fun. Like, peace out. We're back. I think it was Elf Palace Guard in a tournament where it was like, we'll just drop those and charge you anyways. We're back up to move 6, boys.
Meat back on the menu.
It was actually one of those where like they did the charge and I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. I don't think that was a good move, so I'll take it. But I think they were just so excited to be like, wait a minute, if I drop these, I can charge when he's not expecting, and there it
Oh,
was.
he's deciding to take the fallen charge by blocking the butchers off with the wizard and the peg here.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
No, I
The
don't mind.
wizard's the one with 6 wounds on it, right? That's
It
what-
is.
Yeah.
Yep. Ooh, does that put him closer now to the disengage charge? He just moved those honor guard.
He may even just. Yeah, he is just out.
Yeah, but if he disengages, it puts him slightly closer. It's a weird angle, so I don't know if it'll do it.
I don't know if that actually benefits it enough to.
Yeah, it might.
It'll be interesting to see.
Oh, I hope Wild Charge catches Tom out again, just because it's funny.
Well, also
nothing nothing against Tom.
See, right? To charge in the woods there.
No, not Fallen. The Huskarls on
Yeah,
the
but
far
could-
left.
Yes, but
What?
could Fallen back like
No,
go
a
back?
one-inch backup won't be enough there.
Okay, that's what I needed to
Just
see. I
out.
needed to see the
Yeah.
angle to see if it was enough.
Because they get to do tricky, nimble things.
Yeah, so it's like, can they back up enough to see? But it doesn't look like they can. Because that would also be awesome.
Yeah. But all of this is everything that Brindley's doing right now was made possible because of these butchers. Like the butchers into the foot guard here have been just money.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's like, how much is butchers? Like 100 and something?
125.
125, and they're holding up this entire horde of foot guard.
Dash.
And they
I mean,
did
like-
damage.
Dash 15, Death 5, 125, Crush 2, 9 attacks, hitting on 4 pluses. It's such a great chaff unit. I'm gonna have to
Someone,
my night
yeah.
stalker.
Yeah.
someone in the chat called them Stealthy Revcav.
Yeah.
Brindley did play with
Which-
Revcav as his allied in his chaff before
Yeah.
too in this list.
And they feel similar. And also someone in the chat, I apologize, forgot whose line I'm stealing, was talking about how Brindley is king of calling other lists filthy and then allying in the filthiest pieces of chaff he can find from
Yeah.
other lists. So
That is so true.
You know what? You have to give like he does do that. At least he tries to make lists a little more interesting or do something weird people don't see, but still.
yeah, it's that fine line.
There's nothing fluffy about any of the allied choices he takes.
Yeah,
He's
Oh,
pulling a Chris Fisher. Is that what I hear?
what the trick is he's like, I'm trying to do something interesting here, which translates to me as I think I found filth other people aren't using yet.
That people don't know is filth yet. I will show
Yeah.
them the way to the filth.
Okay, so Tom's throwing some lightning. He's done 1 wound now, so that's getting him up there.
Dun,
Yeah.
dun,
He's
dun.
yeah, there's another one.
Hmm.
And this is that and now that the mounted scouts are going to shoot him, push him over the edge.
Yeah, they need to.
I'm
2
telling
hits,
you.
1 wound.
Yeah, scouts.
Wow.
Game winners.
He needs
Game
to
winners.
step twice to kill
Yeah.
him.
So when that 7 comes up, we know that it was the scouts that finished them off.
He's Bane chanting this turn.
Yeah, the foot guard, right?
Yeah.
Got to kill those guys this turn.
Yeah. Foot guard Bane chanted are a very different unit than foot guard not Bane chanted.
They're
As
almost
someone
like
that plays
they're
Kingdoms
knights.
of Men, I can appreciate that.
It's
Oh, Kingdoms of Men, how I love you.
Oh yeah, he's remembering his radiance.
woo. He's got wound removal.
The best kind. The kind that
The-
goes off.
Yeah, the flying Labrador style. And
Oh,
this is the
There's the break. See the
Did-
first roll. It was all about the scouts.
Oh,
scouts. Scouts did it.
No,
Scouts-
no thanks to the volley guns, but
no volley guns here.
Yeah,
I don't-
it was a
did he even
dog.
play with volley guns? I don't see him.
Newfangled technology is no match for dudes on horses with bows.
Oh, there's
So-
2 wounds there. All right, he definitely needs this to happen. 8 wounds.
8 wounds.
That's not a break.
That isn't. That's crazy.
That's So
Oh,
great.
Should have.
Everybody, rewrite your lists. Ally in 3 regiments of butcher.
any neutral or evil armies, anyways.
Yeah,
And if you're playing a good army,
play a
chain
neutral or evil army.
army chain. I'm
Is
always
it-
like,
This is the
So-
second time we've seen butcher regiments used in this way, though, right? Who was the first game that we watched this?
It was
happen?
Brindley.
It was
No.
Brindley.
It was
Yeah.
Brindley's other game.
That's right.
was it the butcher regiments he took, or was he?
It was.
I
Yeah.
think did Shannon play Night Stalkers and also have butcher regiments kicking around in one of
Yeah,
these?
it may have been Shannon.
Yeah, because this last time Brindley used it, he wanted to try. He was either going to take 2 different kinds of allies. He had 2 different lists, and he was like, "Someone roll it," and that's how he ended up playing with the butchers.
Great. So the Knights should have done 10-ish. They did 8, and it was a sketchy nerve roll that just didn't quite happen.
So
8's
Brindley
within
scored.
variance, so eat pretty easily, right? So, but that said, though, a 7 should have been relatively easy, especially since it looks like he did actually have inspiring there.
So when we looked at the arc on the Fallen, are they still, we think, out?
Yeah, I think even if they
Yep.
back, they can't see the honor guard because that looks like more than an inch there.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So for commentary purposes, we're going to pretend that charge can't happen until Brindley cheats and does it anyways.
People at our old game club in
Well,
Victoria
I'm
used to
really
joke
back
that
up. We
Brindley.
really don't know. So this is Brindley's turn now, right? So I
Yeah,
gotta.
Brindley's 4.
Yep.
There we go.
But that butcher unit holding on the left flank there is a really big deal.
Oh, it's
Huge.
because that knight unit needs to do work now when this is like so far behind for Tom at this point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So he's trying to see if he can see any part of that unit. Looks like he can. So it looks like the Fallen are going to go into these foot guard here.
Nimble things.
Yeah.
Nimble charges
Is he
get.
going to be in the front? It looks like.
Yeah.
It's front, and he should be hindered if he goes
Fallen
the
and
left
Pathfinder.
way.
Aren't they still Pathfinder?
We got
Are they?
Pathfinder back.
Pathfinder.
Oh yeah.
They got it back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not trash.
This is how much I've looked at Varangur this edition.
Berger are pretty strong. I like
They
it.
were, when they made it so that theme lists can't be allied into other people's lists, it allowed that flexibility to throw Pathfinder back on the Fallen.
Yeah, basically
Also-
like
They doubled up and they also made them a regular. So
yeah. So they gave them the very small subtle nerf instead of the multi nerf they got before.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good with that. I like Fallen. I think it's a cool unit. I'm glad that they're just
he
on
in
the side
range?
of playable again.
Oh,
Dan, is he?
Oh, I didn't check it in time, but apparently he was. So
Apparently he could. Whether or not he's taking those tokens
Okay,
along
but-
is a different
because
question.
he
but-
moved 10.8, so
he moved.
yeah, but
Well, it doesn't matter how far he moved. He may have moved longer. It had to do with where they were before
That's
he
true.
made the pivot, right?
yeah.
So I'm gonna have to guess that they were, but I'm not gonna move those loot tokens for him.
don't
I'm gonna
touch
just
them now.
Yeah.
bring it up a little bit later. Oh, he's triple charging him. This is
That's
gonna
a
be
good
all
call.
bad.
Good call. I like this.
But
And that's
Because
the
those
So is he
foot guard.
decided- but then has he decided not to charge the foot guard with the Fallen? Because he would have
I don't
needed the space, right?
I don't think he needs to. I think he tries to hit this general on
Mhm.
the winged beast here because his amazing butchers are just going to be the only thing that these foot guard can charge, and they're not going to be able to kill him in one round.
Yeah.
True.
Or he can give him a charge with the Frostfang if he wants. Doesn't look like he wanted that.
I wouldn't. Because you're taking the game-winning mounted scouts in the rear if you do that.
Yeah, I would like to see him move these guys straight forward and then pivot because you
Yeah.
can still see over that hill being height 4.
Yeah, I would rather go that. That's what I thought he was going to do. Because also,
You're
like-
getting cover from the lightning bolt from the shrine then.
hmm
He's getting
And-
coffee.
yeah.
All I'm saying is there's 2 mounted scouts still on the board, and that's trouble.
And there may or may not be tokens on the left-hand side for them to pick up.
May or may not. Unsure.
Or maybe they cheated and let him use wild charge while he had tokens. We don't know.
But we don't get to rule in on though.
No.
Yeah.
Only when Brindley asked, "Did I cheat?" do we get to say.
Yeah. That's right. Oh, Brindley's going in the tank here, so it sounds like a perfect segue for me to go get another beer.
Cheers, my friend.
Okay, so we're looking at those butchers holding in the top left. Opens up a lot of play for him to be a little safer in the middle. What do we think? Are these honor guard going to live? Do we
No.
think they got this, or
I don't think so.
so
What?
they're hindered?
Oh,
Are they moving it back?
Oh,
Did
okay,
they did they remember?
I wonder.
I want to see it. Come on, do it again.
Or is he dropping the
Oh, what is
token?
he doing?
Oh,
He's
Dropping the token. So he is dropping the token to do it.
he's dropping the token. He's dropping them more strategically.
yeah, so that they're in a weirder spot.
Well, if they were close enough to be picked up, who knows?
But it's because you have to end your move on it, right? So they're going to have to move up and land there, and then they
Right.
can't really go anywhere else. So it's just that he's
Would-
delaying him from picking them up and then running away.
And I think
I
what
think
he's going to do is if he kills this honor guard unit, he'll reform to where those Huskarls can just run right back or threaten a unit that goes and tries to pick them up.
Yeah,
Or even,
something is going to spin around and watch that space.
Yeah, and he's also still got Magnild who could, kill them. And even if he drops the tokens in the in his side, if no one has them, he's still got 2 across the board.
Yeah.
What is he doing with these Frostfang?
I have no idea.
Just balling.
He's deciding that he gives 0 fucks about these scouts over here.
I just feel like that's why would you not go
Also-
straight? I want to go.
Is he in front arc of the foot guard?
I think
Which
he.
It looks
Flank.
like
Oh, he's not.
he is not. Okay.
Oh, that's what he was trying to
That's
say.
big. Okay, that's a big thing.
Snuck out, which means it's just up to the scouts.
The scouts are the only thing that can win him the game now.
21 attacks on 4s, 4s and 5s. We got this.
I mean, they could waver it.
They could.
I mean, there's also no inspiring over there, so
It's coming.
one good nerve roll is all it takes.
I want it to happen so bad.
Okay, this time I am drinking a Last Mango. It is a mango wit from Fuggles and Morlock.
Oh,
It is delicious.
I am drinking rosé from the cheap bottle that was on sale at the grocery store.
I love that brand.
Hmm
Those are always the best.
Especially because I can buy wine at the grocery store.
Is that not a thing where you were from?
That is not a thing in British Columbia, no.
They just started selling wine at some grocery stores in BC, but very few, and you have to be so far from another liquor store that it hardly ever happens.
That's
Because
correct.
I'm in California. We sell like hard alcohol in grocery stores, like in the aisle
Oh,
next to the bread.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Nebraska. It doesn't matter what time or what day the liquor's open at the 24-hour grocery store. So
Yeah, mine is like our grocery store. It's right next to the ramen noodles, and then the wine section starts. It's like, here's my dumb Saturday night snacks.
Yeah, that is a wonderful or sad night.
wonderfully sad.
Why are you? It's amazing. I work with people all day. It's lovely to be alone.
Okay, so now we're seeing how this combat's going.
Yeah.
So that was the Huskarls with Vicious. What is that? 3. So they just did 9 wounds, and I think Magnil did 6. So he's already up to 15 without the Lord on Frostfang.
That'll do.
He's taken a total of 15 so far.
Thank you, Ashley.
Ignore the last roll.
Yeah. Seven more.
And there's another 4.
Snake
5.
Eyes.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it's 7 wounds because he's crushed 3.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because he's a dragon.
Dead.
Dead for
So
sure.
good.
Because he's a angry wingless dragon.
With
And just-
Strider.
Yeah. He's better than a dragon in a lot of ways.
Because people also don't see no wings and they're like, oh, that's fine.
Right.
So an important thing to look at, this is, not going into the individual choices, but at this stage of the game, I always try and look at what are some of the really strong units and what have they done. And the Honor Guard, killed some Snow Foxes?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
They got trapped up.
and the Knights right now are fighting Butchers. And that is
And
a
the
lot.
Foot Guard fought Butchers, and the
Yeah.
Dogs of War probably should have fought Butchers, but
Foot
They
Guards
didn't
are
kill
Foot Guard's still there. And yeah, the Dogs of War got one charge in on doing 3 damage to some.
Yeah.
So when
Right.
you're looking at what's basically, almost 1,000 points of units, to have sort of done what they have done so far, that's wherever else things have gone right or wrong or bad rolls, that's hard to deal with.
And I think, and like the Butchers and the Knights, like that's something where I'm sure Brindley was planning. They're going to die. I need to plan to go in there next.
Yeah.
And them not being wavered was like an extra bonus.
Mhm.
Like it wasn't a planned move. We're also still on the bottom of 4, Dan.
Oh, okay.
I don't think Brindley's done the Butchers into the
Okay,
Knights
I
yet.
just noticed the Duke on the Aralez back up an inch, so I thought that meant that.
I think Brindley's checking an arc.
Okay.
Because he repositioned the
Good
whatchamacallit out of the arc of the Duke.
Yep.
Good call.
So I think Brindley was just checking that. I just saw him still spinning his whatchamacallit buoy. And I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
No, and I think that with the type of army that Tom's playing, he knows that the biggest weakness to these large footprint, very expensive units is Chaff can just block him up, and then he can get, double, triple charged.
And
Well, that's where
Go on.
shooting typically comes in.
Yeah, exactly. He has the amount of sort of shooting in his own chaff that the hope is he can sit in dominant or threatening positions, get rid of what they have in front of them, and then he can kind of clean stuff up because most of his units do a ton of damage on the charge. They've just, the ones that do haven't been able to charge good targets. So well played, Brindley.
how many wounds did the Butchers just do on the
They
Knight?
just did 4 wounds. Yeah. So I was going to comment on that chaff unit just did 4 wounds to that Horde of Knights.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but they give no fucks.
Right.
Yeah, more just like it's nice to have that 5 wounds could be the difference when something
It
gets
adds up,
charged in there. It
exactly.
adds, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
So
Yeah, they need to,
heroes,
like
the heroes-
Butchers.
Now I'm just like my OCD's like put the wound markers on.
Right.
Butchers.
That's what I'm looking at too. Like, why are you moving? You still have wounds to put on your units.
Butchers and
Thank you, Dan.
RevCav. I think we need
You're just like
another.
I'm like, "Ooh."
We need another word for like butchers and RevCav other than chaff, like or that size. I don't know what it is. Like it's
Resilient
thick
roadblocks.
chaff. It's thick chaff.
There you go. I like
They're thick
That-
chaff.
that can work. It's just that thing that's in between like the chaff and the real units is these, because like it's really hard for me to call something with 15 nerve, 5 defense. Chaff at that point
Yeah,
that
that's
still
right.
hits.
That's
So
like
with-
regiment nerve, right? So And they are regiments, but they're actually monstrous infantry regiments. So such small prints, they're so maneuverable. It's just such a good unit. It's amazing. I'd never really even considered using them as chaff before. Something I'll have to consider for the future.
So we have options for things to call them. We could have heavy chaff, high fiber chaff, power chaff. I love that.
No,
I like high
Paul,
fiber
I'm
chaff.
agreeing with you that thick chaff is the official one.
I like thick chaff, especially because I
I'm a-
picture butchers to be like a bunch of like thick boys.
There you go.
I'm good with the thick chaff, but I'm also liking the weird undertones of power chaff.
Power chaff. Meh.
But
Now we need
Okay.
different classifications of all the chaff because there's got to be, something for like the shooting chaff, like these mounted scouts and Silver Breeze type
They're
units.
pointing chaff.
I think weirdly,
Pointing
like
chaff,
shooting chaff kind of covers that, even though it's not as funny. But thick chaff is moving into my lexicon. It's done. We're there. So
There we go.
So
Make sure you spell it with 2 C's, okay? That's the only way to spell thick chaff.
So this is definitely a toss-up game still.
Yeah, things could
So-
definitely still go in his favor.
It looked like, I didn't really see it, but it looks like these Fallen got wavered by the Winged Beast when the Winged Beast charged them. Or actually, he has 5 wounds on him. Never mind. So they just didn't do as much. That's about right, probably. But looking at the board, Brindley turned those units that killed the honor guard over towards the left because there are 2 tokens there.
Mhm.
But that right flank is definitely not secured either because these foot guard are still running around and they should be able to kill these butchers in the flank with a Bane chant, I assume.
But then if he... Yes, then
So
I
why
guess
didn't-
turn to face.
were the butchers just chill, giving them the flank?
He had to leave the butchers because if he didn't, the foot guard could have charged over to the Fallen. They were able to get through if he reformed, and then
Gotcha.
that would have been pretty difficult for him to have an answer to.
Yep. So
Oh,
Jeremy,
He's Bane chanting there. Interesting choice.
Also, are the Frostfangs on the hill? Like, if they charge into the foot guard, are they going to also have TC1?
I don't know.
They look like they are.
no, they'd be disordered.
No. Our Frostfangs, other side.
They'd be disordered because those scouts are about to put
That's right.
some
Oh, right.
They're about to- are about
their
to
crushing
put-
strength is there.
3-ish wounds onto them.
Well, he's
doing-
Bane chanting those scouts, so he's going for a
Oh, I
wave
like it.
here.
I like it.
It'll be.
Let's do this. Pick them up.
I would have preferred to probably see him go into the foot guard with that Bane
5
chant.
I don't
5
think so,
damage.
because here's the deal: if those mounted scouts pick up those tokens right now,
Oh, no, he did Bane chant the foot guard, I think.
that- no, he Bane chanted the scouts.
Oh, he did,
Yep.
yeah.
See that
Yeah.
red X? Yeah.
Picking up those 2 tokens is king. If he
It
picks
is.
up, there's very little that he can do to respond to get those back, right?
But this is top of 5, so I'm looking at he has one more turn. If he Bane chants and guarantees the kill on the butchers, then he has to turn and face these Frostfang.
But the Frostfangs can pop them.
They could, so he would have to kind of hope for either a waiver or hope that he could survive that charge. I don't know. I know he has Indomitable on his units. He didn't really have any markers or any way of us telling when he's using it. But-
So I have watched him play in the past, and he will throw a marker down when he uses it, and then he pulls it off the turn after. So he hasn't popped any of his Indomitables at this point.
Because
Yeah. I
I
still
would
don't
have
like
preferred to see that.
I also don't like the Frostfangs going up the way they did. I would have rather seen them go forward and turn. And then
Yeah.
at most, their whatchamacallits are going to get a flank charge,
Right.
which is much less worrisome, and then being able to still charge where you need to charge. And you're
So
still
Indomitable Will, when you're already inspired, is of limited value to pop it ahead of time.
It just
Because-
prevents the waiver.
No,
Yeah,
but
but-
it clears waiver anyways when you
Yeah.
use it. So
You
I
don't
might
care
as
about
well
waiver.
wait till I'm wavered and then pop it to remove the waiver anyways.
If
Yeah.
you're
The only reason I would use it ahead of time is if I wanted to make it so that I was inspired for that turn. We
Yeah.
actually had the discussion the last cast that we had with Tom.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, 'cause I
Well,
was
it's-
questioning why he
It's the same with I've been taking Indomitable Will on my knights, which sounds beautiful, but I'm not a huge fan
just
because
picked up those guys with the scouts.
no
Wow.
fucking way. See, bad decisions.
One good nerve roll. That's all it takes.
Mhm.
they're scouts. That's why I
Yep.
told you earlier, game winners.
There you
I
go.
just feel like it should have been a flank charge that wouldn't have gone as
You
bad.
can't
No,
you can't ignore
it
them.
would not have been.
Bane Chant though, he did 5 wounds there. That was pretty impressive. But then obviously, yeah, he needed that fat nerve roll. So yeah, now he's seeing where he can run off to, which is kind of funny.
5 is average with the Bane chant.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if it had been a flank instead of a rear.
It would have
Sure.
only been about 3.
3.
And if he took 3, he would only be wavered right now with that
And so
10,
I think he's still picking this unit up. So we'll see how that goes.
14 wounds. That was a good roll.
That was a really good roll. Yeah, there you go. So the decision there, the way the Bane Chant went, obviously it was a pretty high spike roll on the foot guard, but I still think he was better off actually Bane Chanting those scouts to at least give a chance to pick that unit up, or if nothing else, get a good chance to waiver them.
Mhm.
So I think that actually played out pretty well for Tom there. And I think that
Now-
actually swings things into a very interesting position going into turn 6.
I think
Well-
this is very much in Tom's favor now.
Yeah, and see, I think if you hadn't dropped the tokens on the Huskarls, the being more aggressive with the Frostfangs on the right flank wasn't as bad. But dropping your 2 tokens and then putting your Frostfangs in a position to get rear charged, even by scouts, it's still 21 attacks. Anyway.
I think
But hindsight is
Yeah.
always 20/20, right? So it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
we can say whatever we want. here.
also
I don't know. We were saying that before, though.
Yeah, we were
all
also
saying
talking about it
as
earlier.
it was happening. That is true. Yes, it's not
Let's-
like we're backtracking on what we were saying earlier, right?
We're just
So-
like reaffirming what we said.
Right.
and let's
Ooh.
be clear here. Let's stop referring to them as only scouts now.
They are
Right.
hero scouts.
Oh,
They
yeah.
are
That's right.
honorable the honorable scouts.
Shooting Chaff won the game
Pointy
I
shaft.
see.
by charging in the rear.
and may even double win the game here because
Oh, God.
Here's
That
the-
fallen.
now those Huskarls have to push out and pick up those tokens. But I don't even think they can. They're not Pathfinder, right? They actually
Right.
can't march onto those tokens.
His Frostfang Lord is the only thing that can go pick him up.
That is
this
correct.
turn.
Yeah.
But I don't even think picking those up this turn is going to win him the game.
No, because the Arales still has that token.
Right. So now
So
it's
remember-
going to be
And he killed the
minimizing
fallen,
losses.
so
Just remember the trick is roll good nerve.
That's right.
That's,
Yes. Clutch
Ah.
nerve.
And that's one of the things is he had 2 really good nerve rolls on the Fallen and the Dire Fang here, but Brindley didn't have any inspiring nearby them.
That's correct.
the problem is I want to criticize Brindley on his choices, but I also have to live with him.
I
That's
would
all right.
criticize.
We're going to rewatch these later, anyways.
Can we criticize Ashley on that choice? You need a separate apartment for when he loses Kings of War games, and then you just show up again the next day, and you're like, "How we doing?"
Better today.
Oh my god, that's why it's like at tournaments we don't really see much of each other at tournaments, to be honest.
I don't know if
He's out
anybody
taking it
noticed this,
seriously and
but
painting things.
do you see that comment that Brindley made just now?
Yeah, I saw that. That's where my thoughts went. I drank the last of the wine. I'm concerned. I need more.
It was a
All right, we'll cover
So
for you, Ashley. Go make a grocery trip run.
Okay.
So here's the thing. Like this happens in a lot of these games. It's a dice game in which you can put yourself in good or semi-good positions, and someone else can make the smart choices to maximize their result and then roll the dice they need to roll, and you take a bad beat. So what choices does he have left to not tilt and play this out? Like what should he be doing? Since it wasn't our bad
Like
beat.
Brindley
So
has 2 to 3
And-
turns left.
He has 2 turns, yeah.
2 to 3. There could be a turn
Right.
7.
There could be, but at this point, if there's a turn 7, I don't really see him having any units left on the board.
turn 7's bad for him.
Yeah.
So
Shoot.
this turn, he needs to pick up the 2 tokens, and at this point, it's minimize the loss. So he needs to pick up the 2 tokens with his Frostfang Lord, and if he can, charge the Knights and hope for really good dice.
Who's charging the Knights?
If the Huskarls are in range, I don't
I
know
think
if they're
they
in.
are in range, yeah.
So I
Maybe not.
They have 11.
Just out.
Are you
I see daylight. I see daylight. So instead, he's choosing to go the Huskarls in. He's going to, sorry, the Lord in. I'm guessing he's going to move the Huskarls in a position to pick up the tokens on the last turn. Nope, he's not even going to care about the tokens. That is an interesting. I want to say interesting, but I don't know. He is going to move. Okay, good.
So it's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I love that. On ESPN 8, the Oko.
The Ocho, come on.
Yeah.
That's the whitest thing I've ever heard. Calling it the Oko. Okay, so
looking at I'm like glowing in the dark white over here. I almost match the walls.
okay, so he's thinking about the Huskarls. What
Yeah.
what to do?
Hold on.
So he can prevent the foot guard from being able to charge him. And he's looking to try and make sure it's a flank charge with the Battle Shrine.
Because that Battle Shrine will do things. Hindered, not as many things.
It's got
But
6
it does
attacks, so
things.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
plus-
it got thick. It got thick too.
I mean, that's some thick chaff right there.
melee 4. So it'll be hitting on 5s in a flank. That's 12 attacks. 4 hits with crush 1. Not enough to break that unit, but
But he has to.
it does things.
I would
have-
not charge that.
Has to be in a position to pick up the tokens in the last turn.
Yep.
He has to.
And he has to hope that this Frostfang Lord can last 1 turn, because if
So-
he can't, that Night Horde is just going to kill him on a potential top of turn 7.
So if I'm Tom, I move these scouts to be, so if you guys can see my mouse, to be just outside of 1 inch, but way over here to be in a front so that it draws those Huskarls over so that their overrun can't even touch the tokens. I don't think there's any way Brindley can pick up those tokens next turn.
It's possible.
Because these guys here, right, they can easily be in this space.
Oh,
just,
I
right?
forgot Magnild was around still.
Oh, where'd she go?
She's right there
Into the wounded Erlez Lord, right?
Yeah, but she can't pick it up, but she can certainly make him drop it, and that at least brings
She
it to a
can.
possible drop.
3 wounds.
But once again, I think this scout unit here is going to be the hero of Brinton's story and prevent this overrun from actually even touching these tokens in the last turn.
Oh, and wavered only anyways.
Yeah, because the rally 2 from the Battle Shrine.
Yeah.
We're bottom of 5, right?
Bottom of 5, yeah.
Wavers enough that gives him it buys him the turn to make him drop it next turn. Although let's be honest, he'll probably drop it himself and then pick it up with the foot guard on the charge on a Magnolia.
Yeah,
And you want
wouldn't
to
be a
switch
bad
to
idea.
Cracker? We're on the bottom of 5.
Okay, I will work that right now. Thank you.
Although he is risking a lot if he drops it.
Wow, that's all he
because-
had to do.
No, if he drops it in a place where the foot guard actually pick it up when they charge in, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
But it depends, because Magnild's an individual, so Magnild will close to him on
But you
the.
drop it at the beginning of your movement phase, right? The foot guard can pick it up on the same turn.
Yeah, but the token has to be fully under his base, and when he charges, he can only.
Right.
Okay, so he's just gonna do that.
He's just gonna kill him.
Yeah.
Kill her.
Or just try to.
Like he'll be weird there.
Well, maybe not.
Oh, he's trying to decide whether or not he can get the Arrowles, the Duke on the Arrowles, out of there and actually come in. I think he's thinking about using his character to try and avoid the hindered charge here.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like what he's trying to consider there, where his character needs to be able to do that.
Well, that's
Oh,
very odd.
No, it's because of the way that. Oh, but did he have to? Don't you have to pivot as little as possible?
Yeah, that's correct.
So I don't know if that is exactly what would have happened there, but
Yeah, I don't think it's legal, but I don't think they're done right
Yep.
with movement.
Let's wait a moment to call Tom a cheater.
well, I don't think it would be intentional cheating either.
I think
But,
we're going to jump the gun on everybody.
Feels like
Yeah.
an over to me.
Just to note, I've been calling Brindley a cheater the entire game, even though he's not cheating. So that's a little bit,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, something else has got to get in the way to force that charge to go in that direction.
Might be doing it with the battle shrine here.
Do we have confirmation that Arrowles ever picked up that token?
Yeah, it's not in the middle
Yeah.
anymore.
Yep. Because the
Cool.
Yeah.
Huskarls that charged the wizard and didn't kill the wizard picked it up. So when the Arrowles killed him, it picked it up afterwards.
Sounds good. Just clarifying for the chat.
Just took it.
Peace out.
Which I think that's probably the right call. Just because it would be kind of a gamble, a small gamble, but if you drop it and hope that the foot guard kill Magnild, and then need to overrun to get it, or I don't know if he could have placed it fully under his base and picked it up with the angles that.
The way they made it is it's actually very hard now to place entirely within your footprint and not like get the hell out of dodge and hand it off to another unit, which is sort of intentional to keep some of those like cheaty loot scenarios where a unit runs up, grabs it, drops it outside its footprint to hand to someone else and run away with it right away.
Yeah, you don't play, rugby where you're just handing it back.
Yeah, that 100% never happened to me as a dwarf player and made me hate loot for, I don't know, 2 years since that. So
Still hate.
Is the battle shrine nimble?
It is not.
So the problem you're having right now is that he's already within an inch. So if he has to move farther away than. So that works. That does it. That's the desired result they want there.
Because he doesn't necessarily need that battle shrine to threaten the Huskarls over there.
I think it was just hoping to randomly lightning bolt things, but this is more important. An unhindered foot guard, I think, is more important.
So the issue I have with this is that if he's trying to do it to where he disengages after the fact and moves with the winged Arrowles, but if he doesn't disengage and move that winged Arrowles first, the Magnild wouldn't turn to face, and he couldn't complete this particular charge.
Apparently, they seem to be okay with it. So, yeah, because the Arrowles would have to move first, would it not?
Correct.
Yeah.
But what he's trying to do is trying to get a little cheeky and get the Radiance of Life pop off onto the foot guard as well.
And then since Tom's moving, we're at top of 6, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
For anyone tuning in for just the final turn of this game, it needs to.
I feel like
yeah.
you've missed out. If you're just tuning in now, I feel like you've missed out on some stuff.
Yeah, if you come in now, you're like, oh, Tom's been winning this whole time. Great.
Yeah,
But-
this has been a fun game to watch. Like I feel
Yeah.
like it's been good.
Yeah,
Right.
actually, most of the game we thought Tom was losing, and that one rear charge ended up making a massive difference in this game.
I think he was always in a position to potentially. Well, obviously he did potentially pull it back, so he's been in that position. But I think a couple of things sort of jump out, and this is again obvious or hindsight, but no wound removal. So every
Iron will getting popped for both units.
yeah, why not?
Makes sense.
It's the top of 6. Do it. You might as well.
And every point of damage that was getting thrown onto them throughout the game sticks and sticks around in these late stages, which meant a charge from the mighty mounted scouts were able to drop because they got wounds on them that could not go away.
You mean the
and-
honorable? They're honorable.
The thick.
The thick. No, they're not
Scout.
thick chaff.
These
They're
mounted
thick chaff.
scouts did.
Well, this turn, sure.
These mounted scouts did exactly what I said they were going to do. Is that they were blocking off these tokens from being able to be picked up from these Huskarls. Because even if they charge the Huskarls, the position that they're in is not going to put them to sidestep onto it or to go forward onto the objectives.
Yep,
And
absolutely. Very good call out, Dan.
And if there's a turn 7, like, can't he just pick those up? There's no one in position to threaten them. Oh, no,
well,
there is.
There's
There is a
now-
very big threat. It is
Yeah.
that was very threatened.
So what
that
happened
is a
is the
voluptuous threat. We're
the
gonna-
knights eventually did what night hordes do and picked up units. So it picked up the Lord on Frostfang, the walking dragon, and can pivot or do something to sit in position to do terrible things.
So Brindley here is now forgetting the way the first half of this game went by
Right.
commenting things can't
Yeah.
go away.
I laughed at that as well. So
I was like,
and he picked up Magnild, so
Yeah.
Best he can
Oh, Lord.
kill some scouts. 100 D6. Wow, that's a mighty unit.
What? Am I missing what did 100 d6?
He was just rolling, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
a little frustrated.
Half going stuff, yes. It's all good. Oh, I guess I should go into 6 here.
Yeah, bottom of 6.
All right. We'll see if turn 7 happens, which
I don't think it's any better for Brindley.
well, I think
I mean,
his unit dies,
I
and I
think-
think Tom can get the most points.
What's the price of those Huskarls? They're what, 240-ish? I
Right.
think he's at max points.
But Brindley can, or I'm sorry, Tom can potentially pick up the last 2 tokens to get the max bonus points for the Northern King scenario scoring.
Oh, did you need
but-
all 5 for
but
that?
no,
Only 2 for
But
this.
no,
right?
because Tom's gonna would go
Right.
first in the top of turn 7, and he can't get to those tokens without charging.
Oh,
and Brindley
most
put it so the
certainly.
Huskarl front is in a
Did he
position
make them
there.
run?
Right. But he will be able to potentially overrun and get
Yeah.
onto the token.
But it's like 5 inches he has to overrun.
Yep.
Right. So that's what he's going for. Try to Bane chant them just to make sure they're dead.
Add in
The other
something
thing is
to
I
it,
don't love Brindley, but then also like even Brindley can't really get them in bottom of turn 7.
But likelihood of him living and not being wavered is basically snake eyes.
Yeah, but that's
If
That
he
did
at this
go
point in the
that
game. That's all
far,
you're rolling
right?
if he disengages though, and that
Oh.
backing up an inch, that might get him enough distance.
on. Back up and then sidestep, right?
And then sidestep, right?
Oh, but then if you back up, yeah, never mind. Ignore me.
All right. Night Horde's doing what Night Hordes do.
Hitting on
14 hits.
Riley, I did not say I
9
don't love
wounds.
Brindley.
11 wounds because they're Bane chanted and have Thunderous 1.
Yep.
Yeah.
And only
Yeah.
3-inch overrun, so he didn't get to him.
24 points though is still solid.
Actually, someone in the scoring system, you can completely ignore 2 tokens, assuming you get 2 across. Because right now he still has 6 points across, right?
So the way it's worded is you get a bonus point for the number of objective or tokens you control at the end of the game. The push scenario gives you +2 for them being on the opposite side for the win, loss, draw purposes only.
Oh, we have a very sad person here. He does not look. Apparently on camera somehow.
How would I supposed to look happy? Fucking goddamn.
It. I will say that was a bad beat. Like, there
Wait.
you were in.
We're just waiting for Tom. Is that a Hockey Night in Canada shirt I see?
What? You muted?
No, because when I pulled up my headset, it muted.
Well, there was a game.
That was
No, there
that
wasn't
was-
a game.
one of the
There we go.
most crazy set of events I've ever seen. I was just mad.
It was
Yeah.
pretty good. Yeah, I have to say, like for the first half of the game, it looked very clearly for Brindley, and then those heroic mounted scouts end up pulling up the rear charge. That Brindley decided that he did not care about those guys.
Well, keep in mind too, I was also planning on other stuff surviving. Like I didn't expect the Dire Fangs to die when they had 5 wounds going into that turn with like what 8, 9 cover lightning bolt going into them. Or no, would have been 11 lightning bolt.
You had a lot go your way, though.
I think it was 12.
Did I? There was the turn. So
You had-
I lost the first turn. So that right there was the biggest swing of the game because right on the back, I'm on the back foot. And if I could have run up to those organ guns before they could start shooting, it would have been
I don't think it would have changed.
Yeah, but
huge.
I mean, he gave you an organ gun bottom of turn 1 though. So
Yeah.
I did. But the thing is at that point, they can start unloading on me. So what carried me. I can't hear Danny's roboting for me.
Sorry, I was wanting to ask Tom, did he know that character had wild charge, or did he make a mistake forgetting about wild charge?
No,
Allowing-
I knew he had it. My other mistake was reading the 18-inch blue line as 20-inch.
Right.
That was a mistake. Because then, not for that, I knew I was going to leave 1 volley gun in range, but I wanted to be on the hill. So I was all right with losing 1, because quite a lot of time when people do that, I was throwing another 18 lightning bolt at him. So if I lose 1 1 volley gun for 2 turns of lightning to kill the Lord, I've won that fight. And then the other 2 volley guns shoot, or McNeil turns up and spends more time fighting volley guns, which is fine in my book. So that was the plan. My volley guns were supposed to get a round off at the Dire Fangs, and then all the lightning bolt can jump on the Dire Fangs depending on how much damage I do, and then I can kill them. And that didn't really happen, as you saw. But yeah, I felt like turn 2 and 3, I'd made quite a few little mistakes. It added up to me thinking, right, I'm in a really bad position here. Because I gave up the rear on that Pegasus, me even leaving the Dogs of War with the exposed flank, thinking I've got a lot of shooting to throw at these Dire Fang. I'm going to do 7 or 8, wherever they call Frostfang. 7, 8, 9 damage with the 12 lightning and the 2 volley guns I'm going to throw at them. That should be enough to, a wave is fairly safe there. And that didn't happen. I was like, oh no. Oh yes, that's not going to be good, because losing the Dogs of War like that was painful. Because I expect this went exactly the opposite of how I expected it was going to go. I was expecting the right flank to be fine and the left flank to be a mess, and it immediately became that the right flank was a mess and the left flank was okay.
Yeah, I thought the same.
Actually, I think even at the start of the game, we were like, "Oh, I don't know how I feel about the right flank for Brindley." I think like that Dogs of War.
I was just gonna be fine us throwing at each other for 3 turns on the right and just not care about it, because I expected to blow through the left. But I don't know. I kind of re-changed my plan like a bit as the game was going on, and then all my hammers started dying on nerve rolls of like 7 to 9, and that was when I was like, okay, I'm in trouble.
Can I ask a question?
Uh,
Why did you, the Frostfangs, why did you give him the rear with the mounted whatever boys instead of turning them more so that they had a flank?
Uh,
Because you could have gone up farther and turned.
yeah, but I don't know. I wanted to have a better arc of sight in case his foot guard could charge away. Because his foot guard could have gotten out of the way if they wanted to. And so I figured like, okay, whatever, his scouts will rear charge me potentially, and they'll just bounce off and do 3 wounds and whatever.
Yeah, that was a bit lucky.
The risk was you're on 3 damage already.
I also,
and they're really
like-
with a Bane chance putting you in. Like if I do 4 or 5 damage, which if I do 5 damage on average with
5
a Bane
is
chance
average.
warrior,
Yeah, 5 is average. We did the
5
math.
and a bit. 5 and a bit.
Yeah.
And that puts you on 8, which means a 9 to kill you's worth going for at that point.
Yeah. Mind you, I also thought I would keep the inspiring there, but then stuff started going downhill too, so I had to run her away. Because if I had inspiring, it would have been a lot better. Same with the fallen. Like when I'd realized that to like basically I thought I'd put the chieftain out of the trees, and then we agreed that I needed to pivot a little bit more. So I pivoted a bit more, and then I looked at it later and realized that put him out of 9 for inspiring the fallen. So then of course the fallen die. Basically just everything went wrong that could have gone wrong. So
Yeah.
like Bane Chant not failing once didn't help.
I think the biggest thing that I saw that started to turn it in Tom's favor was the Huskarls not killing a wizard in the front, and then getting rear charged and picked up in 1 turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the mounted Aralez. Yeah, that was definitely a turning point.
Neither one of those. Like I figured, even if I double 1 this and he rear charges me, I've got a decent chance of survival. Because I don't know, he'll do 11-ish wounds and then just do a 6, which I know isn't great, but that's, you're banking on double 1s in that case, right?
Yeah.
Little did I know that didn't even need double 1s. So that was something.
You're charging a hindered wizard, so you're looking at 9 to 10 damage, and it's got rally on it, so it's at 14 nerve.
Did it have rally at the time?
It was in rally, yeah.
Oh, okay, so I would have needed a 5 once.
Yeah. But I thought that was worth the risk for a potential rear charge. I had to pick the token up and to be able to then move stuff in the way afterwards to do what I did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all weighing up risk and reward, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I took the risks earlier on when I was banking on the waiver on the Frostfang. That didn't pay off. The risks later on that I took, they did pay off.
So
I'd say for sure, Brindley definitely did outplay me for the first 3 turns. He did play better than me for easily. I didn't make safe decisions. I made slightly risky ones than I really should have made, and every single time he exploited it properly. So I was quite happy with how he did that for the first 3. But on the last 3 turns, he was doing what I was doing earlier on, in that he was taking risks that he didn't need to take to extend the game in his favor later on. And then when they didn't pay off, it's like, that's what I'd done. But
stuff started turning against me, so I was like, okay, well, I still want to go for the win, assuming that the left keeps potentially going to shit. So that was why I started trying to wheel those Dire Fangs around, thinking they could fight again. When the safer play would have just been keep them going. Like at one point in the game, I had to decide, like, do I want to try focus on the right or the left? I was trying to remember when that was. I think my option for that was right near the start, when I could have combo charged the Dire Fangs and the Butchers into your foot guard. And instead, I elected to hit the Pegasus and have Megnil just keep killing guns, because then I can play for turn 5, 6 rather than just try to play for a ridiculous turn 3. So it was paying off.
I was a big fan of the fact that when you sort of look later in the game, that the hammers that were getting picked up by the Brindleys, the Varangur hammers, were picked up by mounted scouts, foot guard, who are normally just a nerve block, but they can do a little more. I think wing to Aralez rear charge. It was all the things you wouldn't expect to be blowing. It's not the honor guard and the knights for the most part. It's like these weird other pieces were swooping in and doing the kills, which was fun to watch. So.
Yeah. And I think that goes off what Tom had said. The first 3 turns, the way that Brindley used his chaff was perfect to counter 3, 4 large hammers that Tom has, because half of his army is pretty much points into 4 units. But those 4 units didn't do anything at the first half of the game because he was able to, slow them up, and he was able to kill the Dogs of War. He was able to kill the Honor Guard, but he just didn't have enough left. And Tom's shooting over time really was able to come in and pick up some of the key units to where it just turned back around. So.
Also, I don't know if you guys know, but butchers and likewise chaff are now thick chaff.
Oh, they're thick boys.
They're thick
That's why
chaff.
I took them, because they are the thickest
Because
boys.
holding up those knights was...
Yeah, okay, so that was a pleasant surprise, but at the same time, I would have rather had my dire fangs survive than the butchers. Like, I was expecting the butchers to die.
Yeah.
yeah, but they thick chaff.
Because my dire fangs, if they'd survived, would have just rolled the middle in 2 turns. So I would have just steamrolled everything. Would have been amazing.
You mean frost fangs?
But I think,
no, they're dire fangs.
yeah. But I
For
think
Varnger. Yeah.
that's what I've been saying a long time about your Varanga and your Northern Lions. Yeah, defense 5, 15, 17 nerve.
Yeah.
When you're looking at how expensive these units are and how key they are, like, yeah, they do hit pretty well, but it's not a lot of nerve.
Well, that's the thing I always try to tell
that's
people.
a bit of a shit about a nerve, really.
Yeah, some people are always thinking like Varinger is super strong and other hammers are ridiculously good, but they struggle a lot with taking hits nowadays. Like that's why Herd are even worse, right? With all their hammers being defense 4, 15, 17, or even 14, 16.
Yeah.
So basically at that point a stiff breeze and you're getting wavered. I don't know. With this list, I had a lot of Fury, but it didn't come into play, obviously.
It's true.
Yeah. But, yeah, I don't know. I could have seen like the points that I could have done better. Obviously, I can look back and see how rolls went. Be like, okay, I could have done this instead. But I was trying to win big, and then instead I just had to keep taking bigger and bigger risks to try to salvage when it started losing. Because I was thinking like even until turn 6, I knew that I could pull out a draw or a win if just stuff survived, basically. Like if the Chief and Magnild both survived, I could kill his Duke potentially, deny the point, and then have the Huskarls pick up the objective if he didn't block me like he did.
So time, like at one point you had 4 out of 5 objectives. You had picked up all of the Dogs of War units. You had your Huskarls with their 2 objectives. Like, couldn't you have just backed up those ones onto your side and not even cared about them being on the opponent's side? Especially the way you were bottling up the Knights and the Honor Guard, and then basically pushed forward with the Dire Fangs on that one side in a place that they were more protected. Because there wasn't a lot at that time that was threatening those Dire Fangs that I saw. And then you got really aggressive with them, which put them into kind of dangerous positions.
Yeah, and I was thinking about just making it a flank too, because I had a better chance of no freak luck thing making an impact. Like I considered just running towards that pond and then piecing out for the rest of the game. But I realized that at that point on the left, I expected that either if I leave the Honor Guard alone, he can start winning that side pretty easily, and I had a chance to do the triple charge. So it's either take that and assume the Knights are going to blow through afterwards, and I don't have chaff anymore at that point, or kill his Honor Guard, turn around, kill the Knights. I've got 2 points safe over there, and then I can focus on winning the middle still because the Honor Guard are gone.
Right.
And Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Tom.
I wasn't sure about. I thought sending the Huskarls in, it was a very risky move on the left.
Yeah, that was the biggest risk that I probably took in the whole game.
You were just going to feed units to my Knights, and eventually the Knights were going to chew through it because a regiment of Butchers will die to the Knights. The Lord of Frostbang will die to the Knights, and then on the next turn I get to charge, and then everything that Knights hit dies.
And that's assuming too that your Honor Guard aren't doing something else, right? So I would have ideally, like, if you didn't have rallying, I might have just done a double charge. But I knew I just had to commit everything because you never know with dice that I'm just going to bounce off Honor Guard and then I'm fucked. So
yeah, that was
I was trying to limit the potential oh fuck play. I don't know.
This was a super exciting game. I really appreciated watching it. So hopefully everybody else did too. I thank both you guys for letting us be in on your stream. Do you guys have any parting thoughts before we sign off?
Well, I had a weird day at work where I was expecting quite a lot of fights to go down, and they didn't. And this was more anxious than that. Than that entire game was.
Yeah. Yeah, that was nerve-wracking to say the least. But I think I was basically tilted as of what was the one where all my stuff died in one turn?
5 or 4?
Turn 4, I
Five.
think.
You mean the
Right.
one?
At that point, yeah,
Ranking.
top of turn 4, I was like, okay, this is sweet, to like, oh no. And then it was just sad face all the way.
Just that turn was the perfect illustration of the problem in Northern Lions and Varangur, where
Yeah.
you get to the game and you've taken 4 or 5 damage everywhere, and
And you're
everything
done.
goes. You're like,
Yeah, well, and that's
I
why
can't
like
stop it.
it's
Yeah.
always so nerve-wracking playing Varinger. And so far in Call to Arms, I've lost first turn in all 4 games. And Mindless doesn't want to lose first turn. So it's yeah, I don't know. I felt like I was on the back foot. It was nice to actually think like I've got a really good shot at this. So I like to think that I put up a good fight for it. But
Yeah, I mean, we would.
I'm glad I got to play Tom. So
Just from observing, it was a very well played game for a lot of it.
That was
It
a really good game, guys.
It was really interesting to watch. There was no shame from either side. And the
made
final.
I think we
that 18-inch blue line, thinking it was a 20. I'm there going, I've left that, and that in range.
Yep.
I had so many choices.
You did, yeah. Well, that's target saturation. You can't charge all of them.
Yeah.
But
There you
no,
So
that was
it worked out.
really
But
amazing game with that.
but it was a lot of fun to watch. So thanks again so much for letting us join in.
Yeah,
Thanks, man.
thanks,
That
guys.
was a great
Now
game
I
with that.
can start fucking around with armies and
See, that's the thing. Now I have to commit to it.
yeah, you see, you screwed up. I was like, oh god, I gotta play Varinger because people think I'm good with them. Kind of, they're a crutch.
So thanks to Brindley and Tom. Thanks to Brenton, Ashley, and Ballard and Adam for commentating. And thanks to everybody out there who has tuned in and watched our Dash 28 live stream. I think there's another one later tonight that
At 10:30 Eastern.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah,
Keith Randall.
Al's going to host that one. So
Ooh,
A quick plug for that. Jeremy will be hosting and making his debut on Dash 28 Live for Battle Report. I will be back again because it's my birthday and I have nothing else to do in quarantine than cast Kings of War games, apparently.
There you go.
happy birthday!
So yeah.
Oh,
So
Jeremy's
come
so
on back.
excited. He got a call out.
Yeah, it'll be great.
excellent.
Star-studded panel.
All right.
You mean we weren't?